Looking for excitement? Chumba Casino is here. Play anytime, play anywhere. Play on the train, play at the store, play at home, play when you're bored. Play today for your chance to win and get daily bonuses when you log in. So what are you waiting for? Don't delay. Chumba Casino is free to play.
Experience social gameplay like never before. Go to Chumba Casino right now to play hundreds of games, including online slots, bingo, Slingo, and more. Live the Chumba life at ChumbaCasino.com. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
Hello there, everybody. It's me, Garrett Kidney, the co-host of You've Got to Be Kidding Me on the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network.
And I am Liam Jones, my full name, and I'm also a part of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network as a co-host for You've Got to Be Kidding Me.
We are a TNA history podcast that covers TNA 1 month at a time. We cover all the drama, all the matches, all the Vince Russo nonsense you could ever want in your life.
Have you heard of TNA? I bet you have, but would it be funnier if two people made jokes over it the whole time? Probably.
So if that sounds like fun to you, check it out on this very Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network, and Liam will do bits and whatnot.
This podcast is a member of the Voices of Wrestling Podcasting Network. Visit voicesofwrestling.com to hear the rest of our great podcasts, as well as show reviews, columns, opinions, and updates across the world of wrestling.
Thank you so much for supporting WWE and NXT and me. You're so sweet.
You are listening to the Flagship Podcast with your hosts, Joe Lanza.
I'm not throwing in the towel. I'll do this till I die. The only ones that are going to get me are the ones that outlive me. Then they can come tap dance on my grave if they want. That's fine.
Rich Frage.
Just because a camera stays steady for 3 minutes does not mean it's like art and cinema. It's watch a movie, watch a TV show, watch something.
And we are live on the Flagship Podcast. I am Rich. He is Joe. Joe, what's happening? How are you?
I got some big, exciting breaking news for the listeners.
Yeah? All right, what do you got? I don't even know what this is. I don't even know what this is.
Yeah, I just got a big-time message from one Andrew Rich, who works very fast, and the new Jovember to Remember, episode 25, has been sent back to me, has been edited. So all I have to do now is give that a quick listen through, post it up on the Patreon, and there will be a new Jovember to Remember out imminently.
Oh, what a Thanksgiving miracle. Unbelievable. So what are we covering? What are we covering on this episode of Jovember to Remember?
Ultra Clash 93.
We're finally there? You're still not to Ultra Clash? For God's sakes.
We are. Listen, the exit of Eddie Gilbert is a long and arduous road, which we also go over again on Jovember to Remember 25 here for Ultra Clash 93. But that is the ground that's covered. I sent this raw audio to Andrew Rich like literally just a couple hours ago. I mean, this guy, and
He's a pro. He's a pro.
I gave him a very annoying task too when I found a very small error that I made that I couldn't live with. And, so he had to do something very annoying, and he got it done. I could tell you exactly how long it took him to get that done. 12 minutes later, I get the file back, completed, ready to go. So just got it back as you were firing up the show. So I'm excited about that. I will get that. I give it one final listen through. I listen to these shows myself. I mean, I get sick of my own voice. I'll give that one final listen through. And then we'll get up and posted. Now, I'm going to post this strategically. Let me think this through. So this is Thursday night. Actually, maybe tomorrow works.
Yeah.
I think tomorrow morning probably works best. Yeah.
Go for it. Yeah, tomorrow morning.
I don't want to do it Saturday, with all the instant reaction live posts that are going up and everything, and then it gets lost in the shuffle. But I'm thinking maybe schedule it for first thing tomorrow morning, which for a large portion of the people listening, it'll long since have been out. But for the live listeners, yeah, you should have a new Jovember barring any issues, and I don't think there will be, by Friday morning, Friday afternoon sometime. And in addition, there's another one coming. 26 is coming after that. That's already been worked on and shouldn't take much longer after that. So that will cover the first two hardcore TVs following Ultra Clash, the first two put together by Paul Heyman, now that Gilbert's out of the picture. So there's a lot to break down with those. And that'll be November to Remember 26, which already has partially been recorded and whatnot. So
there you go.
Yeah, gonna start pumping these out. So yeah, that's exciting news. I didn't think he'd have it turned around that quick, but there you go. I know people will be happy to hear that.
Ready to go. Yeah, there's Rich Drinks that's in the can as well. They have a Mountain Dew Game Fuel out there that has, as well as two of the World War III caps as well. So a lot of stuff coming up on the Patreon, which we'll talk about a little bit later. We'll plug with the AEW Full Gear Instant Reaction Live a little bit later in the show. But Joe, let's say that I listen to the Flagship on my normal podcast app. I listen to it on Spotify on Friday afternoon or Saturday morning or whatever. How the hell can I listen to November to Remember? Please tell me how.
How do you listen to November to Remember?
Where do I listen to November to Remember? Because you're saying that you're talking about this November to Remember thing, and everyone's going nuts about
assuming
it.
everybody knows.
Yeah. How do I get this thing? What do I do? How do I do this? How do I listen to this? $5
tier on the Patreon. So we will now be 25 episodes deep, and that includes the 4-hour plus life and times and career of Eddie Gilbert audio documentary, which is technically part of the November to Remember series. It's technically episode, I want to say 23. So,
and almost won you an Observer Award. Almost got you a goddamn Observer Award. We're going to win one of those things one of these years. I don't know how, but we're going to do it. We have to.
I frequently introduce myself to new people I meet as multi-time Wrestling Observer Newsletter Award runner-up, Joe Lanza.
Yeah.
That's a fact. Multi-time.
Absolutely.
The New Japan book. The 1 year people got behind us with the New Japan book was the same year Brian Alvarez put a book out. I mean, we had no chance.
Right.
You know, we would have won. We would have won if Brian.
And he knew it too. If you remember, he did a whole show where he celebrated about winning it and stuff, and we gave him shit about it, and he laughed and said,
Mox buried us.
Yeah, but I don't know, man. I want a recount. I demanded a recount, and I was not given one. So I don't know.
We lost by hundreds of votes, but
but still, count them up. Georgia, recount those Georgia ones one more time.
That's right.
Maybe this time.
Chads.
Maybe this time. Yeah, they were probably hanging Chads. Georgia, who the hell knows what's going on there? Like, count it a couple more times. Come on.
Maybe they were butterfly ballots. People get very confused. Yeah, but he mocked us. He said those blokes from Voices of Wrestling,
those blokes, yeah,
who are so,
undeniable blokes. We're blokes, that's for sure. But
right, so multi-time Wrestling Observer Newsletter Awards first runner-up. That's how I introduced myself to puzzled glances from like TLB's friends. But yeah, that's how you would listen. We're 25 episodes in. They're all roughly an hour long. So what's that? That's well over 30 hours of audio now, dissecting the history of ECW from 1992 through WWECW. Obviously, based on the fact that I'm only up to Ultra Clash 93 and just now getting to Eddie Gilbert's exit from the company and Paul Heyman taking over the book, and we're 25, about to be 26 episodes in, you can see the level of detail that's put into it. I think I could safely say that there's no written, or because I've read all the books, I'm sure you've read a few of them.
Mm-hmm.
I don't think there's any written or documentary style or audio style retellings of the history of ECW that have spent 30 plus hours on the era of ECW before Paul Heyman. I can confidently say that doesn't exist. If it does, we would be aware of it, right?
I think we'd be aware of it, yeah. And the WWE Rise and Fall of ECW documentary did far less. I would say significantly less is probably the best way to put it, covering of the pre-Paul Heyman ECW than you did here, including maybe 3 minutes tops in the Rise and Fall of ECW documentary. So, yeah, I think you covered it a little bit more than everybody else.
It gets almost no play, and I don't think that's fair. And I think the people who have listened to it, will back up that I go over a number of stories and a number of personalities that have never been covered before. I mean, you're going to learn all about Stevie Wonderful. You're going to learn
Hervé
all
Ernesto
about
episode, man. That was the best. That one caught me at the heartstrings there. That was a great one.
Yeah, you'll learn all about Hervé Ernesto, who I still infrequently chat with via text message, and I think I made a pal there with Hervé, and a guy who I reinvigorated sort of, he's out there doing podcasts now, You know, after I tracked him down and hunted this poor man down.
Is he doing? Is he making shocked faces and getting mad at Tony Khan, or what's he doing?
No. I mean, like as a guest on other, you know,
okay.
It's like.
I was wondering, is Hervé grifting? Is he a grifter now?
No, he did the.
You made him a grifter.
No, he did the Chubby Dudley podcast.
Okay.
The Chubby Dudley the podcast, which is really, he's the only other person covering that era of the company. So, you know, shout out to Chubby Dudley and what he's doing on his YouTube channel. I don't even know if he's still going, but he's
he's still going. I just saw it recently.
Yeah, you know, you'll learn about the Cosmic Commander, you know, and that's kind of the approach I've taken, is to dig into the true untold story. Because how many times have you heard the same, you know, barely legal, mass transit, you know, Paul Heyman getting paid by maybe all the same stories. That's not what we're focusing on here. I'll get into the nitty gritty of the things, of the stories less told, and in some cases the stories not told. And, you know, on top of breaking down every piece of available footage, you know, we talked to Bob Smith, who was a short-lived commentator, the old PWI writer. Talked to him for the series. Talked to Stately Wayne Manor for the series. So I dug deep and get quotes from, and I tracked these people down. You know, poor Hervé. I found his phone number. I found that guy. So it took me months of research, but I figured out his phone number. I texted him out of the blue, and you know, he didn't want to admit who he was at first. But you know, I gained his trust, and he became a valuable resource. And I'm still bugging him. I'm going to get him to come on. That's going to happen. But we're at the point in the series where he leaves the company. So, you know, he was Ultra Clash, you know, the intergender battle royal, you know, Twisted Steel and Sex Appeal. Here's a nugget you're only going to learn on Jovember, and the series is loaded with stuff like this. Twisted Steel and Sex Appeal, Hervé Renesto and Donnie Allen were originally booked for the intergender battle royal at Ultra Clash, but Hervé turned down the booking and never worked ECW again, because at that point he left the wrestling business to concentrate on his shoot job and raising his family. So, you know, Donnie Allen worked that match by himself, and they replaced Hervé Renesto with the color comment, with the play-by-play man, Jay Sully. Okay, so that's why Jay Sully was in the match, and that's why Hervé Renesto. No one else has ever discussed or reported that. Why? Because no one else knew that until I talked to Hervé Renesto about it. Right, so it's a bunch of little things like that. The Jovember to Remember series uncovered that Dark Patriot 2, who replaced Dark Patriot, Doug Gilbert, on one of those ECW shows because Doug Gilbert couldn't take the booking, exclusively on Jovember to Remember, we uncovered that Dark Patriot 2 was in fact Bill DeMott, who was working ECW at that time through Wing as Crash the Terminator, and that was unverified before. You go to Cage Match and Dark Patriot 2 is still unclickable, right? But we confirmed that through Doug Gilbert. We tried to confirm it through Bill DeMott, and he kayfabed us, but Doug Gilbert confirmed that it was in fact Bill DeMott.
I forgot that Bill DeMott was just like,
do you remember
I don't know, brother, I
can't
tell you, brother. And it's like, dude, it's Dark Patriot from 1993. It's okay, man. Like, you don't have to.
Like, Bill, it's 32 years ago.
Right? I don't think it's gonna matter. So, like, I tell you, work. Like, what are you protecting? I don't know, but anyway, yeah, it's wrestling. Yeah. That's wrestlers. The fact that you get anything out of any wrestler is a minor miracle.
Right. So anyway, as you can see, you're going to learn a lot of detail that over the past 3 decades has never been exposed before. And that's kind of the goal with the series. You know, of course, I talk about the big stories, and obviously put a lot of work into Eddie Gilbert and his exit from the company and all that. But you're also going to get a lot of work because these weird questions that pop up that only people like you or I would think of, Rich, right? Why were they calling it Blood Feast at first, but then over time they changed the name of the event to Blood Fest?
Yes,
I'm going to find that out.
That's the difference. That's the flagship difference right there, because we will spend, and I'll do that on any shows that I do. I'll find some dumb shit and spend a lot of time on it. Like I went through Bobby Blaze's like Michinoku Pro run on one of the most recent episodes of the World War III cap that I did, covering WCW's World War III. There were 60 men in that ring, and I decided, let's talk about Bobby Blaze and his Michinoku Pro run, because that's what we do. That's the difference right there.
Yeah. So you're gonna learn all these small details. You're gonna learn all the big tales. There's plenty of funny stories and anecdotes. And so episode 25 should be out by the time most people are listening to this. Episode 26 shortly after that, with the aftermath of Ultra Clash. And now we're getting into it, man. Now Heyman's in charge. Sabu's coming in for Blood Feast.
Yeah, you're about to get hot and heavy.
Okay, so yeah, Public Enemy just debuted. Joey Styles called Ultra Clash for the first time. He called the show by himself. So we're really getting into it now.
It's going to start to look and feel like ECW. Not it's not overnight, but it's pretty damn quick that it starts looking and feeling.
It's not overnight, but I'll tell you what, I talk about this on the show. Ultra Clash immediately feels different, and you start to get the early obvious fingerprints of Paul Heyman. I mean, because right from the jump, number one, you got Joey Styles on commentary. Okay, Jay Sully out, Joey Styles in, and the first match right out of the gate is Public Enemy, making their worldwide debut, first ever Public Enemy match, a team that Paul Heyman put together. I get into the history of Public Enemy and how Paul Heyman put them together and why. And their opponents are Ian Rotten and Jason Knight, also making their debuts, who would also be instrumental figures for the next few years.
Jesus, Jason was there forever. I mean, Jason he was there for until 99, right? 99 until Jason
Ultra Clash until almost the end, because he never got picked up.
Yeah, right.
by one of the other two companies. And, I explained why Heyman was using Jason Knight. There's a backstory there that I don't think many people know, that I'm not going to give away right now, but it wasn't just a random booking with Jason Knight. Jason Knight was one of the original Paul Heyman guys. You'll learn that when you listen to the show. So right off the bat, Ultra Clash, boom, that Heyman fingerprint's all over it, right? And I think that was by design, putting that match out there first, because he believed in Public Enemy as an act. And what I'm trying to find out now is whether Jason Knight was a replacement for Axel Rotten, because wouldn't it have made sense to do Public Enemy versus Bad Breed? Why is it Ian Rotten and Jason Knight?
Ian Rotten and Jason Knight is an odd. Yeah, that's an odd tag team. Yeah. And
he would bring in Axel Rotten on the next set of shows, and Bad Breed would get a push, and then obviously it would lead to the Taipei death match, famous Taipei death match they did against each other when the team broke up. But I have a feeling something is just burning in me that tells me it was supposed to be Public Enemy, Bad Breed, and Axel couldn't make the booking for whatever reason. And I wanted to get this episode out because it's been ages since I had one. But I am working on it. I am going to try to figure out if that was the case, because it seems very strange to me that this makeshift tag team
with Ian Rotten and the sexiest man on earth, Jason. Yeah,
right.
He's not quite there yet, but
no, he wasn't doing the gimmick yet. But Bad Breed was a thing because they had worked global for the previous 2 years, and it just doesn't. And Axel Rotten comes right in. So anyway, that's another piece of lore I'm trying to uncover. I'll call Paul Heyman, see what he has to say.
Yeah, I'm sure Paulie will talk to you. Yeah, he'll talk turkey with you for sure.
Yeah. In between, the bloodline falling apart as they always are, I'm sure he'll cut me some time and discuss that. So Ultra Clash, very interesting show, a turning point show for sure. We finally got there. I know everybody mocks me, but you could hear the enthusiasm in my voice. I got the next one just about ready to submit, but look, I admit they probably come out a little slower than even I like. I never promised speed on it, though, to be fair. I never promised it'd be fast. I never promised them on a schedule, but I do need to pump them out a little quicker than I've been doing. But I get so wrapped up in the research and little detail, and I'm like, no, I have to find this out before I record.
Right,
you know what
it can't
I mean?
be released until I find this out. Yeah.
And that's part of what makes it great. So I don't want to stop approaching it that way, but at the same time, you got to let sometimes some of these things go. And there's always an opportunity to roll back and get to it. But yeah, there's I dug up some old Dave Scherer news group posts from 30 years ago for this episode. So it should be a lot of fun. That's on the $5 tier of the Patreon. And man, there's a lot going on the Patreon. We got Instant Reaction Live for Full Gear coming up this weekend. So I know a lot of people drop in specifically for those and then drop out, which is cool. There's nothing wrong with that. But if you're someone who listens to those AEW Instant Reactions, we got that coming. You said you had a couple pieces of content coming this weekend.
Absolutely. I got a World War III cap. I got 2 World War III caps on the way. So going over WCW's iconic 60 ring 60 men 3-ring battle, 60 men in 3 rings would be very funny, but no, it was 60 men in 3 rings. The World War III WCW pay-per-view. So we're covering all those battle royals, going over all the names, the history, and really more than what we're doing is instead of just like dryly reviewing a battle royal, we're talking about the news going on at the time, what's going on in WCW at the time, what's going on in WWF at the time, and it's a pretty tumultuous time for both companies, and a lot of people are moving and shaking, and Randy Savage is teasing that he's going to go go back to WWF in 1996. Hulk Hogan's negotiating contracts and getting an amazing deal off of the backbone of maybe going back to the WWF in 1996, like immediately after the NWO, which I think a lot of people don't know about that. So we kind of cover that a little bit of Hulk Hogan basically being able to bend Eric over a barrel and say, hey, look, I can go to WWF and be a heel there. And they're like, fuck, no. Here you go. And that's one of the sweetheart deals that Hogan signs that helps him. He signed a multitude of sweetheart deals during his times in WCW, but that time in particular, right after turning heel, was a great time to have some leverage against Eric Bischoff and stuff. So yeah, we talk about the battle royals, we talk about the news and notes at the time, plus a Mountain Dew review coming up. The Mountain Dew Game Fuel, they have a new Game Fuel coming out for the holidays. They don't do Christmas themed Mountain Dews anymore. We have a Game Fuel, but I review that Game Fuel there, so that's there too. In addition to, like you said, Instant Reaction Live. So this is always a big weekend for us. After Full Gear, immediately after the show, we're going to be going live on the $10 tier at flagshippatreon.com. So make sure you are ready to go. We always tell people, because we always see this, we're about to go live and 7 people start upgrading and 9 people start jumping out. Just do it. If you know that you want to listen to Instant Reaction Live Full Gear, you know that you're going to be around Saturday night, you want to listen to the best pay-per-view, post-pay-per-view review show in the business, just do it now. Just upgrade now, and you don't have to worry about doing it the day of, and you don't have to worry about missing a second of the show. So we definitely recommend that over at the $10 tier. And a couple more things we wanted to talk about, and then we'll get into the meat of the show here, is something new that Patreon has that I don't know if a lot of people know about this. You can purchase individual shows or collections. So say you are that person that I talked to you about earlier, Joe. You're a hypothetical person that listens to the Flagship for free on Spotify, listens to it on your Overcast or whatever it may be. You're not on the Patreon. Maybe you come and go on the Patreon. Something you can do is you can purchase individual shows. We've set very low price points, obviously below what the monthly total is going to be for different contents. If it's a $5 piece of audio, we usually have it up for $3 for sale. If it's a $10 tier stuff, we'll mess with the price a little bit there, but you're never going to pay more than what the monthly fee is. But what this allows you to do is say that I just got excited to listen to that Jovember to Remember, but I don't know that I want to buy a subscription. I don't know that I can do that right now. I don't, whatever. You could just pay. You could just pay for an individual show, or you can pay for an individual collection as well, which is really cool too. So if you say, hey, I really liked that series that those guys do, I really like the Wrestling Observer Hall of Fame stuff that they do, but I don't necessarily want to buy individual shows or whatnot. You could buy the whole collection as well if you want, or you can buy the individual shows. There's a lot you can do with that. So that's cool. We don't always promote that because I think we're always trying to say, hey, we got a lot of stuff available on the $5 tier and the $10 tier, so just upgrade to those. But if there's one bit of audio or one thing you want to listen to, there's also the ability to just pay it one time, get that bit of audio, and then you don't have to worry about a subscription or a monthly fee or anything like that. Now, again, we recommend it because there's tons of stuff on there coming every single day, basically, between Flagship Pluses and Instant Reaction Lives and written content and Jovember to Remember and retro shows and all these other things coming up. So yeah, it makes sense just to so pay $5 or $10 to get on there. But if you just want to purchase an individual show, you can do that as well. So that is available. And some brand new thing too that Patreon just rolled out, and it's very fitting to have it come right before the holidays.
Hold on. Before you talk about that, I want to get this real quick. So yeah, what Rich is talking about, where you would find that is if you're not a subscriber, go to our Patreon page and click shop. And that's our shop. And what you'll find there is all of the pieces of content that we have for sale, independent of a subscription. So if you wanted to listen to this week's Thursday Dynamite review, but you don't want to commit to a subscription, but you want to hear what I had to say about this week's Dynamite, you can purchase that for $3. And you can listen to that piece of content. You're in, you're out. There's no other commitment.
Yeah.
And you just unlock whatever. So if you click shop, we have dozens of items at this point for sale individually that you can purchase from behind the paywall using that shop feature, including a couple of collections, and just a lot of, I usually put the Thursday TV review back there every week. I put most of my Flagship Pluses in the shop, not all of them, but most of them. I put every Thursday TV review, and then whatever Rich is putting. And as I'm glancing at it, he puts a lot of his different series episodes up there and whatnot. A few of our Observer Hall of Fame shows are up on the shop as well. So I'm not sure if a lot of people are aware that we have that, because I don't think we've ever publicized it.
We have not.
Yeah, so, that's a good way if you're not a subscriber, if you just want to pick and choose individual pieces of content. And of course, the other thing you could do is subscribe on the free tier, because if you subscribe on the free tier, you'll be notified with push notifications and emails every time we post something. And then if something catches your eye, you can go into the shop and purchase it for less than the price of the subscription. So, and also on the free tier, we sometimes do free content that we don't charge for. So it's not like you're not going to get anything. It's not like just trying to, hook you in. You are going to get stuff. And sometimes Patreon will send you links to some stuff too that they'll throw out there as a freebie if you're on the free tier as well. So there are absolutely benefits to being on the free tier. That's not just something, and we have tons of people who are on that tier.
Yeah. People,
hundreds in fact. So that tells you right there, there's hundreds of people on the free tier. They're getting something out of it. So, and then obviously, if you really like what you're getting, then, you could consider upgrading to 5 or 10. But Rich, tell them about that last thing, and then we'll move on with the rest of the show.
Then we'll actually talk some wrestling here. But something that's really, really cool that they just rolled out really recently, and I think it's great time for the holidays as well, just a perfect timing to do this, gifted memberships. So now if you have a wrestling fan friend out there and you say, look, you got to know what the realness is. You got to know what the real, these guys talk ball, man, and I want you to listen to this. Stop listening to The Ringer. Stop listening to your bullshit wrestling podcast. Start listening to these guys talk some fucking ball. Patreon.com/voicesofwrestling/gift is what you can do. So you go to Voices of Wrestling or Patreon.com/voicesofwrestling/gift. We'll put a link in the show notes as well.
Put the link everywhere.
Yeah, of course. And all you have to do then is you get onto that site, and it allows you to gift a $1 tier, a $5 bonus tier, or the $10 a month Flagship Superfan tier to anybody that you choose. You hit gift, you pay, it gives you a link, and you send that link to your friend, and you go, here you go. Click this link, and you're going to get a free $10 a month, $5 a month, $1 a month, whatever tier you want to put them on. It's free. And then they are good to go from that point forward. They are good to go. They are locked in on that 1 month. They can listen, and hopefully they listen and say, fuck yeah, these guys are great. These guys know what they're talking about. This stuff's really good. But if you're sick of your friends listening to bullshit wrestling podcasts, you can change that. And the holiday's a great time to do it. Say, hey, look, I need you to listen to guys that know what the fuck they're talking about, guys that do good retro content, guys that do good current content, guys that write great stuff. Here you go. Gift it. It's $5. You could gift any one of the tiers. Like I said, you can gift the $5 a month, the $10 a month, or the $1 a month tiers on there. So yeah, again, at patreon.com/voicesofwrestling/gift. And again, we'll have that in the show notes as well if you want to do it. But it's just that easy. Hit gift, put in your information. They give you a link. You send that link off to someone. They're ready to go. So super simple.
Now remember,
super easy.
You're paying for it now.
You are paying for
it. You're buying them a subscription is what this is. So you're buying them a subscription. But we get a lot of people who tell us, oh man, I'm trying to get my friend to listen to your shows, and I have these friends who I think would dig you, but I can't get them to try it. Well, now you can purchase them a subscription, and if you buy them something that has actual, tangible, monetary value, they're more likely, they're more than likely to give it a try, rather than telling them to just listen to this random free podcast all the time. So there you go. I've put the link in the YouTube chat for the people listening live. Rich will have the link everywhere. So if you have a wrestling fan friends who you think would like our content, you now have the ability to gift them a subscription. So, this is what we do. We start the show a half hour early, and we do a 30-minute commercial for our paywall. This is what we do. Hey, they got some ECW lore in there.
They got some ECW. You talk about Hervé Ernesto, a little bit of Ultra Clash. They got some wrestling. It wasn't not wrestling. It was some wrestling. But Ash in the chat room says, let's do a flagship telethon. We're getting such a hard push here. I say that's a great idea. I say a telethon is a great idea.
That's right. And the charity is me. That's right. So
the charity is our pockets.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes. It's like that AWA Charity for a Cause show I just watched that was for the they had Jerry Lewis on there because it was for the Jerry's kids. It was for the,
fantastic.
What was that? Was it muscular dystrophy? Is that the disease that's where the
Jerry's kids? Yeah, I want to say that was MD. Yeah, I think it was MD. Yeah.
Yeah, so they got Jerry Lewis to appear. They got the Celtics announcer Most was there doing
Johnny
some ring
Most.
announcements.
Oh, good. Yeah.
Yeah, Johnny Most. Yeah, so we could do a telethon, no, but again, there's no charity. It's just for us.
It's just for us,
right?
yeah. With a little ticker on the bottom, you're like, we're almost there. We're at our goal. It's like, that's where you get Hervé Ernesto on. You say, hey, Hervé, we're doing a charity telethon. You want to get on? And he's like, yeah, sure. He doesn't have to know.
We have to get all of the side characters of the show on, and they don't, and none of them have to know that the charity is me, right? They don't need to know that. Right?
The human fund or whatever. What was the Costanza one? The human
Costanza,
fund, right?
The human fund. Yeah, the human fund.
It's for the human fund. So.
That's right. Yeah, absolutely. So yeah, we could definitely do that. So it's something we'll consider.
I love it. It's a great idea. All right, let's talk some wrestling. And we're going to talk a lot of wrestling here today. We have the Dave Marquez MLW situation to talk about. We'll jump into that one a little bit later. Michinoku Pro. When's the last time we talked about Michi Pro here on the Flagship? We are doing it this week, and I'll tell you why and a little bit about the show that I watched. Akitoshi Saito called it quits. Noah had a retirement show for Akitoshi Saito. We will cover that show. Also had a GHC heavyweight title match and a bunch of other news notes coming out of Noah as well. AEW is finally, we talked about it last week, their schedule was pretty bare for the rest of December and into 2025. Well, we now know what the schedule looks like for the most part. A couple spots still need to be filled in, but there's definitely a clear intention of trying to run smaller buildings for TV tapings moving forward. So we'll talk about the move to do that and a little bit of what's coming up for AEW. Of course, we have AEW Full Gear, and we're going to preview that here in a little bit. But I actually wanted to start off with this topic, Joe, because I know this is a good one to maybe get things fired off top here. WWE ID. Now, we talked a little bit about this last week, kind of checked in on the WWE ID and what's going on with that. I think we got some exclusive scoops with the Z here, right? About these contracts and what they might entail.
I don't know how exclusive they are. I haven't, but I was told that, because we talked about the contracts last week. And, people listen to the show, as noted, we got buried for not putting over Kosei Fujita a few weeks ago by a friend of the show who's in the business. And people do listen to this and then, they get back to me with stuff. I was told that the ID contracts are in the $40,000 range. So I don't know if that's out there anywhere.
I don't know that I've seen that anywhere else. So again, repeat that just in case, because I don't know that I've seen that everywhere else.
I was told the WWE ID contracts are in the $40,000 per year range, which would make them about double the WWE UK deals.
Which is just...
If you remember,
we joked about that. I think, and that was something we joked about a little bit. Was it last week or a couple weeks ago? We joked about how low the NXT UK contracts were, and I had somebody reach out to me and say, like, you guys said like $20,000, but that's not true, right? And I was like, no, they sold their scene out for $20,000. That's why we said it was so ludicrous that a few of the guys, mainly like your Pete Dunnes or whatever, were like, no, this is fine, this is okay, because it was like, well, yeah, you were eventually going to make more money, but like the rest of us are getting destroyed here. But it was, those were horrific contracts. So yeah, these not as bad. $40,000. And you can still do indie bookings, and you can still do your shoot job if you really want to. That's not bad.
No. So that's what I was told, and kind of like how we opined originally, and we kind of surmised and figured would be the case, that they're trying to, moving forward, where the performance center is going to be for like these street free agents, these college athletes, maybe the NIL recruits and things like that. And they're going to try to keep the indie recruits, which are the WWID recruits, keep them on the road working, right? Because what have we been talking about, all of this time, where we just, I think they even recognize that people aren't getting any better in that PC.
Of course.
People who are already trained working professional wrestlers, the PC isn't benefiting them nearly as much as it's going to benefit some track star or college football player who you have on an NIL deal, who you bring in, who might not know anything about wrestling, and this is all new to them, and they've never wrestled before, and you're training them from the ground up. Well, you stick them in the headgear ring and you teach them from the ground up, and that's where you devote your resources in the PC. I think, too, if they just unclog the PC, that maybe the developmental talent that needs it more even gets more attention, right? Wouldn't that stand to reason if you don't have 150 people running around every day in that place?
Yeah, I think fundamentally, though, and I wrote about this in the piece that I did, when the news came out about the WID, is like, oh, I know what this is. And we talked about it in the Flagship a couple weeks, too. Is like, I think it's a fundamental understanding the PC probably doesn't work. Because even if there's 15 people in the PC, the ultimate issue is you're still working in front of the same people, the same times, with the same, you're always playing the same character. You're always working in front front of the same people. You're being trained by the same people. Everything is so samey that you don't have. That's not how wrestlers get good. That's not how professional wrestlers become great at this. You become great by facing a bunch of different people, wrestling in a bunch of different styles, being different characters, doing all those sort of things that really the modern indie track in a lot of ways, like or the historical indie track is a great model. The young lion model or the young boy model that Japan runs, like that's what you do there. The reason that guys go on excursion in Japan is because they say, go to Mexico, go to Europe, go to America, learn how to work that style, and you'll come back and you'll be a much more refined worker, as opposed to just, if young lions just did the Boston Crab matches for 5 years, like they would never get better. You know what I mean? You can't just do the Boston Crab match for 5 years, on every opener and then go, okay, now you're ready for the, Wrestle Kingdom main event. Like that's not how, you're never going to be good that way. And there's no way that being in the PC and having the same 5 coaches teaching every single person the exact same thing over and over and over again, and then working, the dying husk of the Largo loop is anything. That's just not how you get good. The way you get good is working for different promoters, working in front of different crowds, working different wrestlers, going to different places, trying out different characters, all that sort of stuff. So yeah, I think that this ID thing is, and you kind of confirmed it there with the news that you had. It's an admission that the PC does not work for people that know wrestling. You know what I mean? For the people that are in the wrestling business, it makes absolutely no sense to pluck a guy that trained at, Seth Rollins and Merrick Brave's Black and Brave Academy. There's no reason to pluck that guy and send him into the PC and have him just wrestle there for 2 years. There's no point in doing that.
Stunt their development.
It's going
to stunt their development.
Right. So we want to have an eye on this guy. Like, you did a good job to get him to this point. We want an eye on him, and we're going to maybe, eventually we're going to find out that they're probably needling in this a little bit more than they need to or whatever. But they're what I think they're doing is saying, hey, you got him to this certain point, or her or whatever to this certain point. We're interested in them, so we're going to kind of keep an eye on them and let us know about the development, or maybe teach them this stuff and this stuff and this stuff or whatever. But ultimately, kind of keep doing what you're doing, and when everybody thinks they're ready, then we'll bring them into the house and kind of refine them or give them that last little bit, which is a huge difference from what they were doing before, where they would sign these guys and then stuff in the PC.
Well, I don't mean to cut you off, but that's exactly it. When someone, it's basically when they decide they want to put someone on TV, right? Then they're going to get the crash course. They're going to be brought to the PC and then given the crash course, given a gimmick, given something to work on, and then it's kind of like the finishing. It'll act as a finishing school at that point for the ID people. So they're not going to call you off the road and throw you on SmackDown. They're going to call you off the road. They're going to send you to Orlando, and they're going to presumably have a plan in place at that point. But we've heard that before.
Yeah.
And and get you ready for NXT or whatever it is that they're going to want to do with you. So from that standpoint, it does kind of feel like that these are more, that money is in line with what they pay people when they were bringing them to Orlando. It's in the same neighborhood. So the WWID thing is essentially, it's like we talked about last week. My read on it now is that it's just kind of a marketing gimmick. They're just signing people like they always have, but they're leaving them on the road as opposed to making them move to Orlando. It's effectively the same thing. What we need to find out and what we need more detail on, is there that right of first refusal if Tony Khan comes knocking? And Tony Khan talked about that because someone asked him about it on his media call today. And he says, I think his comments were, and I'm paraphrasing, along the lines of, I guess we'll find out when we test one, right? To see what these contracts entail and what that means, which kind of flies in the face of if I were Tony Khan, what I would have said today, and I'll repeat what I said last week, I consider anyone signed to an ID deal off limits, and I will not consider them for AEW employment. I would have made that public. That's what I would have said, to make people think twice about signing these deals. Do I want to hand away my leverage for $40,000 a year? Or do I want to continue down this path and bet on myself to where both companies are going to want me, and then I can work them against each other? See, that if I were Tony, that's how I would have handled it. But it doesn't appear he's going to handle it that way. It also feels like he's not yet privy to all the inner details on it. And the person I spoke to wasn't entirely privy on the contract details either from that standpoint. So that's still up in the air. So yeah, you're right. Like you were saying before I interrupted, when there comes time to ready to use the person, that's when they're going to bring them to the PC. That's exactly what I was told.
Yeah, and that makes all the sense in the world. And the PC still exists and will still exist. Now, maybe will it still be in Florida? That remains to be seen. Will they put it all in Vegas like I think they're going to do? We'll see. But the PC still does have value in the sense that, as I said, it's a great recruiting tool to go to these NIL athletes, these D1 athletes, your University of Maryland linebacker, and say, hey, if you want to get into pro wrestling, come here. We'll sign you and come to this performance center, because you can't tell that person, hey, we want to get you into pro wrestling and now go report to, the Nightmare Factory. Like, that's a tough sell for a guy who just got off, doing D1 football. It's a tough sell to, hey, come to this warehouse in Atlanta and learn how to work. It makes a lot more sense to come to this shiny little PC and basically you're going to give it. And will that work or not? We'll see. That remains to be seen. And the results have not really spoken for themselves in a big way as far as, full-on PC trained, former NIL people. But with that said, that's where the value of the PC still exists. So I don't know that this replaces the PC, but I think it's just an admission that those people that come up as fans of wrestling and go to wrestling schools do not need to go to the PC for as long as they're going to the PC, and they need to develop the way that wrestlers have developed for years and years and years and years and years and years. And that's, the normal track that you can go under, where you work at a bunch of different places, and that's how you become a greater pro wrestler, not sitting in a warehouse doing hip toss class in your, headgear.
It makes me wonder, because they when they bring in a class to the PC and they take the picture with the property of WWE t-shirt and everything, they did recently bring in a class, and there were some indie wrestlers in that class. So it has me wondering two things. One, was that kind of like the final class that gets into the PC before they started the ID program, because there were indie wrestlers involved?
Yeah.
Or two, are the indie wrestlers in that class considered close to TV and they're entering finishing school, so to speak? That I wonder, because Lance Anoa'i was part of that, wasn't he?
He was.
If I'm not
yes,
mistaken.
yes, and he's the type of guy that you would assume that they would bring in.
That guy's been working years. He don't
right.
need
No,
training.
but that's a guy that they, hey, prove to us you know how to use the hard cam. Here's how you, flex for the camera during your entrance. Okay, now you're ready to go. Like that strikes me as that's what they're doing with that guy. There's no way.
Here's our creative for you. Let's work on your character, and so you have this down pat when you're on TV.
Right. There's no way he's going to Norman Smiley's like reversals class or whatever.
Right.
You know what I mean?
The hip toss class that used to be a meme. Right. So I'm wondering, was someone like Lance Anoa'i part of the final PC class, or is he part of it only in the sense that he's doing this new finishing school version of it? That I wonder.
We'll probably find out in Survivor Series, for God's sake. So
right. I mean, eventually he'll be part of that. There's no doubt about it. But yeah, I think there were a couple other indie wrestlers in that photo too. But from this point forward, I wouldn't expect to see that. I would expect all of these classes to be the quote unquote street free agents. The training from the ground up types, fresh out of college or professional sports dropouts or whatever the case may be. And of the people who have been ID'd, because they seemingly signed these people, or at least, I would assume most of these people have been signed for many, many months and have just kept quiet about it.
No, come on. William Regal shows up in their locker room and hands them a contract. They bring them into the ring, and the ring announcer goes, I have something to give to you. It's like, well, why?
Like it's a game show.
Right. And then they hand him a thing, and they go, oh my God, I can't believe it. Thank you. Yeah.
But either way, the ones they keep announcing, and I was given a bunch of names that everyone would recognize that are, there's secret whispers going around that they're part of this, and I think one or two of them actually turned out to be true. So, but the point I'm making is these people that they keep announcing, and they've announced a bunch more. They continue to follow the pattern we talked about last week. They're signing people who are competent looking athletes and look like people that we would recommend signing in almost every case. Right. The people we're familiar with are like, oh, okay, that makes sense, because Mathers is one of the best wrestlers on the indie scene. Of course
anybody would have signed Marcus Mathers. It's like
right. And then the people we're not familiar with, it's like, oh, look at that guy. He looks like that guy looks like the business. If he's any good,
like the guy I saw last week. It was the first time I had seen that Brad. What was his face? And I was watching don't watch much beyond, but I decided to watch it, well, in the background and I was about to break in and say, hey, Joe, this kid's got a lot of talent. And I look over and he's getting a contract. I'm like, oh, yeah, there you go. Right. So it's like, they see what I see. And it's like, yeah, that guy looks like he's, pretty good. Brad Baylor. Yeah. And I was like, this guy's got good size, good body, seems to get it. And then, literally minutes later, they're handing him a contract. I'm like, all right, they get it. And we know the people, we know some of the names that are involved in it. And it's in a weird way, it's like we're kind of back to what we were doing before, because it's Gabe Sapolsky is a big part of it. Timothy Thatcher is a big part of it. Like, those kind of guys are a big part of it. And the best part to know that we're the best way to know that we're back is they've announced that the very first WWE ID showcase match is coming December 15th in Clearwater, Florida. And Joe, it's going to be on the WWN Super Show. What's old is new again. We're back.
Yeah.
We don't know who it is. It's ID Wrestler versus ID Wrestler, but it is in the WWN promotion with Gabe Sapolsky overseeing the ID program, or being a big part of the ID program.
Yeah, it's history repeats, right down to WWN Live, which many people didn't even know was still running. With that, what is it, Tim Thatcher versus Regal's kid?
Yeah, Charlie Dempsey. That's the big match so far on the WWN Super Show is Thatcher versus Dempsey.
So I'm looking back at some old messages I got. This one is from November 2nd. Okay. And the person said to me, I'm hearing Marcus Mathers and Jack Cartwheel second and third hand. In other words, that's why I couldn't come on the air and say that, right? Number one, you can ruin these people's deals because WWE is very... they tell these people to shut their fucking mouths, and they've pulled deals before when people have talked in the past. So it's not something I'd ever come on the air and talk about. The other thing is, although these came through and they landed, my source was, was nice enough to tell me, hey, I'm hearing this second hand and third hand in each case. So take it for whatever that's worth. But that's to give you an example. What I'm showing you is the names that are being signed have been out there a while. Okay. And I've got a bunch of other names that obviously, for reasons I just laid out, I'm not going to ruin these people's careers, but they're names that people would recognize, maybe one level down from, because I think Marcus Mathers and Jack Cartwheel, before they got signed, would have been considered two of the very top indie names in the country, right?
Yeah,
I mean, that's fair to say.
Yeah. Oh, easily.
So yeah, and it should have been to no one's surprise. I mean, when the person sent me that, I'm like, oh, well, that just makes all the sense in the world. And I was like, that's the kind of people they're going to be going after, and that makes a ton of sense. So one other note, and then we'll move on, and this really is only interest of our audience because it's an issue that we've talked about, is I was told that they are absolutely not teaching the break up your own pin thing, and that the coaches are, in fact, annoyed about it and trying to get everyone to break that habit. So there you go. The reason these people are kicking out of their own pins and doing other, wacky shit in their matches that looks awful is just because they're green and they still stink.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So there's really nothing else more to it.
Well, it's an epidemic, and we all need we need to, every wrestling school needs to stop it.
It's such an epidemic that we thought they were teaching them.
Right.
Like that's how bad it is. But from what I am told, that is not true. And no, it's something that they're aware of it. So how can you not be? But so there was also that too, which kind of ties into this, that I found interesting. So, and I guess now that idiots like us are out here complaining and mocking it and talking about it, it might even become a point of emphasis. So there you go. Flagship changing the world.
There it is.
Much like AEW 5 years ago.
Yeah.
Same level.
Right. Speaking of AEW, good segue here to AEW Full Gear 2024 coming up this Saturday. As we mentioned, Instant Reaction Live immediately following the show. The best post pay-per-view review show in the business. Instant Reaction Live, $10 tier, flagship patreon.com, immediately following Full Gear. I should also note the Thursday TV review. Your review of last night's Dynamite is a must listen, getting rave reviews. Unless people unsubscribe. Well, for the people that stay subscribed, yes. There's some people that unsubscribed. I don't know if it's because of that or, but you know what? Fine. Whatever. No, they'll come back. They'll always come back.
Subscriptions are up since the beginning of the day.
No, I'm joking.
It's a net positive.
It's a net positive.
It's a net positive.
Of course it's a net positive. But, No, I'm sure, people leave for all sorts of reasons or whatever. But yeah, it was a impassioned review of last night's Dynamite, and as the meme goes, no lies detected out of this guy, Joe. I didn't see any lies in anything that you said, but yeah, it's been posted some clips up on YouTube and stuff, and it seems like most people kind of agree that last night's episode kind of lost its way in a lot of ways and was really a microcosm of a lot of the issues that AEW has been having over the last year and really 2 years at this point. So yeah, I thought it was a poignant review. So if you guys want to listen to that, of course, that is available on the $5 tier over at flagshippatreon.com, the Thursday TV review. So we're not going to review Dynamite here, but we are going to preview Full Gear, which I'm sure will be, some of the things from last night's Dynamite will, of course, be mentioned in these previews. But yeah, if you want a full recap of last night's Dynamite, and not necessarily move by move, mostly just here's what I'm mad about, here's what I'm mad about, here's what I'm mad about. But again, it was necessary, it was needed, it was cathartic for a lot of people too, because you're saying what a lot of people are thinking about AEW, particularly last night's episode.
What did you think? I thought the show stunk last night. Obviously,
a terrible episode. Yeah, it was an awful episode. Like, I thought the first hour was okay, and then the second hour was like, what the fuck? What happened? What is going on? What are we doing here? I mean, it was 40 minutes with no wrestling, basically. The whiplash of all these bad promos. The whiplash of Adam Cole's bad promo, then Kyle O'Reilly has a bad promo, then Roderick Strong has a bad promo, and then Mercedes has a bad promo, and then we have a pre-tape with Jack Perry and Daniel Garcia, and then we have this, and I'm like, what the fuck is going on? What is this show? Come on. Can somebody fucking wrestle? Like, what are we doing here? And then I thought the go-home angle with the Death Riders basically having a bully circle around Orange Cassidy and taping him and then just kind of like kicking him a couple times and then doing like a curb stop was fucking atrocious. Like, what is that? What the hell is that go home angle too? So once that happened, I was like, what the fuck? What happened to this episode of Dynamite? What has happened to Dynamite here? Really, I thought it was an atrocious episode. Like, was it one of the worst evers? I don't know. There's probably some other ones out there that I'm forgetting. But as far as the pay-per-view go home show and as far as the whiplash of like, what the fuck are we doing here? It was strong for me. I had the same thought. When the episode was done and I was in the Discord too, a lot of us were just like, what is this? What is this show? This is a bad show. It's not a very good one.
Yeah, I'm going to chalk it up to look. There's a lot of problems in AEW right now, and I think all of those problems came to the surface all on the same show.
Yeah, it's a great way to put it.
It's from, and I think it starts with, and this is a great transition into our next couple of topics. So we should just do AEW for the next hour or so, right?
For sure.
So a lot of it is the tiny crowds and the big buildings making for an awful atmosphere. And when you combine that with the fact that it was a small crowd in Reading and the crowd happened to be a cold crowd, because the crowd was a terrible crowd. I mean, they just, and whether that was a product of some of the sound being lost, I just don't think anything last night was very over.
Nothing was over. Yeah. And that's happened a lot in recent months. I mean, it's you could do the chicken and egg game all you want, but it's like, what do you want them to go nuts for? What were they supposed to pop big for on this episode?
Yeah, I mean, I think what was really telling to me and what was scary to me was Orange Cassidy came out for the main event and got nothing.
Crickets. Yeah.
He got nothing. He came out and it was like, I don't know, Serpentico was coming out for the dark match at the top of the show. He nobody fucking cared that he came out. It wasn't even a nice pop in relative to how many people were there. He just didn't get any pop. No one cared. He doesn't feel like a hot challenger at all. A couple weeks ago, I talked about how on the reviews, I talked about how I felt like Orange Cassidy wasn't carrying his end of this. His promos haven't been good. He hasn't been able to thread that needle of guy who doesn't really care, but also I care a lot now because my friend got his neck broken. I just don't think he's a skilled enough promo to thread that needle. His promos haven't been compelling. They haven't been good. They haven't drawn interest in the match.
He had that one line, and I lost my mind at this line. And I don't know if you really brought it up or whatever, but it was a couple weeks ago. And he goes, I don't really like to wrestle, but I wrestle a lot, and I'm pretty good at it. And I was like, what the fuck is this? Like, you know what I mean?
That works when you're doing a gimmick where you're the international champion or whatever the title was called when he had it. And you're defending it on TV every week, and you're doing this like a more of a mid-card thing. That's fine. it isn't working for a main event world title program.
Which is supposed to be like a blood feud grudge match. You took out my best friend, and I'm going to take you fuckers out, and you're trying to destroy AEW and destroy everything that we've built, and screw you, I'm going to kill you, to say, I don't really like wrestling, but, I'm pretty good at it, and I win a lot of matches, and I beat you one time, and, like, it's, okay.
Right. It's not, and
the tone.
And the fact he got no reaction is the proof it isn't working,
right.
And I feel like, look, and this isn't an anti-Orange Cassidy thing. I think you agreed. I think we both called his run with that title the best title run in wrestling that year, because
absolutely
it was right up our alley. He just came on TV every week and defended the title and had kick-ass matches. And the story was he was slowly breaking down. And when was it all going to just fall apart because physically he couldn't hack it anymore? That's all I need in my wrestling. I thought that was great. Right. And ultimately it was Moxley who ended it. Right. And I don't think they've done a great job weaving that history into this either.
Oh God, no.
When he said, right there.
He said, I don't really like to wrestle, but I beat you one time, and that was it. And it was like they really kind of just never addressed it again. They never went back to that again. They never really addressed it. Moxley didn't really ever bring it up. It's been out of sight, out of mind. And that's the perfect hook right there is that Orange Cassidy, one time, a year or so ago when Orange Cassidy was on top of the world, Jon Moxley, knocked him down a peg and took the title away from him. And there's ways that you could really tell that Orange Cassidy might say, you know what, I'm pissed off, man. I was having the best title reign that I've ever had. I was at the top of my career. I was in the main event of All Out after you, and then you beat me, and I had to work my way back up. I had to start from ground zero and work my way back up. Now, I wouldn't have done that. We talked about it at the time that was one of the worst ideas that they could have ever had. And it was one of the worst. That to me, All Out was. And this is last year, and we're relitigating stuff from last year, but we were right about both these things. If you go back and listen to our Instant Reaction Live for that, or you go back and listen to the flagship after that, where we're talking about Orange Cassidy and Ricky Starks, particularly with Orange Cassidy, we said what you have just created a star out of Orange Cassidy. What you do right now is he goes away. We don't see Orange Cassidy. Maybe he does that promo on Dynamite and says, you know what, guys, I've been battling, and my body's held together by tape, and I've been trying all I could do to keep that title, but I just can't hold on to it anymore. I've been beaten, and I'm tired, and I'm hurt, and I'm going to go home, and I'm going to go away. And then he goes away for 3 months, 4 months, 5 months, 6 months, whatever it may be. And when he comes back, he's he's a star again, because everyone's going to remember, oh man, Orange Cassidy, that guy was awesome when he left, and he had that title for a year, whatever, and then he had to go away because he hurt, but he's back now. Then what they did is they had him backstage eating potato chips with Hook. You remember? And we freaked out about it. And everybody said, oh, come on. It's fine. It's Orange Cassidy. That's what he does. And we're like, nope. You
missed it.
They whiffed. You only get one chance at this. You don't get another chance on this. And they fucked it up. And it's not going to go well.
What they did is they told you he's right back in the same spot.
Exactly. Yeah. And we said, we've seen this shit before. We've seen this shit before. This is not good. This is the worst possible way that you could have finished the story, is him going right back to where he was. And guess what? Not only is he right back where he was, he's never, ever touched where he was last year.
He's never getting back. They missed it, and they missed it forever. And people wanted it then, but they totally blew it. Think about this. Think about if they would have listened to us and they just took him off TV until now. With Jon Moxley as the champion, the guy that put him out to begin with, after Jon Moxley broke the neck of his friend. And then the first time we see Orange Cassidy was as a surprise, coming out of that curtain to get revenge for his pal and get revenge on Jon Moxley. And think how different this entire program would feel. And that should sum it up right there. He would feel like the biggest star in the company if that would have been the case. But the very next week, eating potato chips with Hook, yucking it up. And that's it. In wrestling, sometimes you miss your opportunity with someone, and they missed it with him. And nobody buys him as a main eventer right now. They just don't. You hear the reactions you get, especially last night. But there were so many other problems on the show. They did back-to-back babyface promos where babyface wrestlers were telling their friends don't fight the heels. They're too dangerous. I don't want you to get hurt.
They're going to beat you up. Don't fight them. They're going to beat you up. Buy the pay-per-view on Saturday. Go to payperview.com to buy
Get excited for Full Gear.
Watch these scared baby faces face the heels that they're scared of getting beat up.
They're terrified
from.
of. Now, in all seriousness, that's awful.
That's not how you book
segments
wrestling.
Of that.
That's not how you book wrestling.
First Kyle O'Reilly telling Adam Cole, look, MJF's too diabolical. We gotta, you're too nice. You're nicer than him, which is a good thing. We should just mess with this guy anymore. And I'm like, what the fuck? I had to watch that promo 3 times. First of all, because how stupid it is, right? Could you imagine Magnum TA telling Dusty Rhodes, listen, Dusty, we got to stop messing with the Horsemen. They're just too dangerous.
Right.
Why don't we just mind our own business? We should mind our own business.
Right. I know we got beef with them, but they're really tough, and there's 4 of them, so we should probably just lay low and let them do their thing.
Look, you're a nice guy, Dusty. You're nicer than Rick. That's fine. We like you for that. Just leave him alone. Leave it alone. Right.
What? So that would be unfathomable. We would be talking about that right now. We would be talking about an all-time blunder. There'd be Between the Sheets episodes. There'd be a Between the Sheets Patreon show all about the stupid story of Magnum TA telling Dusty, man, those guys are tough. I don't know, Dust. What do you say? I think we should tuck tail and get out of here, man.
So on top of that being so stupid, the other problem was Kyle O'Reilly is an awful promo, and I had to watch it 3 times just to try to figure out what the fuck he was talking about. He stinks. He can't talk. Right? And then the very next segment was Orange Cassidy telling the conglomeration, don't come out there and help me tonight. I don't want to see anyone else get hurt. Very next segment. Back to back. Mark Briscoe saying, we're going to war. Come on, man. We're gonna fight. No. I don't want to see anyone else get hurt.
No, we're going to war. Fuck those guys. No, don't get hurt. Yeah.
Mark Briscoe, Tomohiro Ishii, and Rocky Romero. But it's like, what?
He's crafty. Rocky's crafty. You never know. He's crafty.
Hasn't won a match ever in AEW.
He's crafty.
But
crafty.
Nonetheless. But I mean, what? Back-to-back promos where the baby faces are flat out saying, the heels are too dangerous. I don't want you to fight them. I mean, what have we done? What is happening? That's the kind of story you tell once a decade to put the heels over, right? Like, you can get away with that kind of story. I'm not saying, but back to back on the same show, on the same pay-per-view. It's just there was so much bad. What the fuck is going on with Jack Perry and Daniel Garcia?
I have no idea. Why am I supposed to watch? Why am I excited about watching these men on Saturday? I have no fucking idea. I can't tell you.
What are we being subjected to? Getting chained to a chair with spooky music playing and getting chained to the hood of a truck and all this fucking nonsense? Can you just give me a pro wrestling angle on a pro wrestling show? What is this?
2 years ago, Daniel Garcia got a huge, massive, gigantic pop for turning down the Jericho Appreciation Society and saying, I'm not a sports entertainer, I'm a wrestler. Remember?
Yep.
And the crowd went nuts because Daniel Garcia said, I am a wrestler. And then when Daniel Garcia re-signed with AEW a couple of months ago, said, I am here to restore the feeling because this is where the best wrestle. Right?
Now we're chaining guys to chairs in caves or something.
Yeah.
And then the big point of that was him bashing out one of the headlights of the truck. Like, why would anyone care? Why do I care?
Oh my God. Yeah. Like, why am I supposed to, we always talk about this. Car angles are the dumbest shit in wrestling. And it's like, if I was in a booking room, thank God I'm not. If somebody presented a car angle, I would do the same thing we've done on this show for 11 years now and say, why? Who fucking cares? Whether it's the babyface ruining the heel's car or a heel ruining the babyface's car, why would somebody at home give a fuck about either of these two men's cars, right? Who cares? I don't care. I don't care if FTR's little beater van got beat up, and I don't care if Jack Perry's beater van got beat up. I don't care that The Rock's Lincoln Continental got ran over by Steve Austin's. I don't care. These aren't my cars. Why do I care about other people's cars? It doesn't bother me. It's just
so incredibly corny and derivative. Yeah. I mean, we've been seeing car angles for decades in the other company. Why do we have to keep doing car angles? Because when people from the other company are writing their storylines, we've had a lot of car angles.
We've had a lot of car angles. We had Mercedes and trying to run her over and such. It's a mess.
Oh my God, how bad was that?
Come Camille, you idiot.
The whole
it's bad.
we're speed running the breakup between Camille and Monet. They feels like they just got together, and they're trying to run over Chris Statlander, and they're doing that awful shit was.
They're doing the
night.
classic thing that I always rant about. And I kind of rant about modern WWE doing this too, where and this is like a classic trope of like a Vince Russo or whatever, is that a team would only exist to break up. A unit only exists to break up. A manager and wrestler duo only exists to break up. There's no point in doing that. We have no history with Camille and Mercedes. We have nothing baked in to Camille and Mercedes. Now you want to talk about one that worked perfectly until the end. Wardlow and MJF. That was years. And they were super successful as a duo with the tinge of at some point that guy's going to turn on that guy, right? We all knew it. We all knew at some point Wardlow was going to turn on MJF or MJF was going to turn on Wardlow, whatever it may be. But we saw that the success was there, that MJF used Wardlow and Wardlow helped MJF win match after match, title after title. They were a good duo, a successful duo. Everything worked out well. So it made more impact and more sense that when they did break up, then it would be like, oh, okay. We've seen nothing on a Mercedes. Camille, it has done nothing.
We have no investment. We have no investment in this
Why
pairing.
would we care? Why would we give a fuck
that
they're no longer together?
It's just putting people together to break them up. That's all. And you nailed it. And that's the stuff they do in WWE. And who's writing Mercedes storylines? Well, there you go. It's not hard to connect these dots. So much bad. Roderick Strong's another one. They gave promo time to Orange Cassidy, Kyle O'Reilly, and Roderick Strong. Three people I loved watching wrestle, three people that never need to speak. They can't promo. And Roderick Strong goes out there in front of the live crowd to cut this super serious promo about this super serious material that he was given by MJF with, the real life story of it, growing up in a trailer park and his mother shooting his father, tough upbringing. Everyone knows Roderick Strong's story by now. Good for him. He's become a great person and everything against all the odds of his horrible upbringing and all of that, and is successful in his field and everything, and all of that. But he's out there in his goofy comedy glasses doing the Max shtick. Yep. And it doesn't work with the serious material. It doesn't work. But they sent him out there in his cartoon gimmick to cut a serious promo. And this is everything I warned about 2 years ago when they started giving everybody cartoon gimmicks. Once you do this, there's no turning back. Roderick Strong is a fucking Looney Tunes character now. That's it. You can't do a super serious program with him. And if you do, you have to shed the gimmick. He can't come out there in his oversized fucking comedy glasses.
His grandma glasses. His clear grandma glasses.
You can't.
Adam!
And you can't.
He's doing his Adam thing again. It's over. We can't
on top of the fact that he can't promo to begin with, so you're putting him behind the 8 ball. He tried his best, but he stinks.
It's also Roderick Strong, who's been good for 20 years. Just have him go out and wrestle good matches and give people backbreakers. What the fuck?
Exactly.
Why are we reinventing this wheel? God damn it. It's Roderick Strong.
How about you have him come out there, take the glasses off, throw them symbolically, look into the camera without an ounce of fucking humor. Don't shout Max's name. Don't shout anyone's name. And say, Max, you went somewhere you shouldn't have went. And then cut the promo of your fucking life and tell people you mean business. But that's not what this company is anymore. This is a nice little sports entertainment company, 2.0. If you don't get enough from the 8 hours that WWE gives you, we got 5 more for you. That's what they are now. And that's what this shit is. Why would anyone spend money to watch Roderick Strong in his comedy glasses go after MJF now? After that awful promo. It doesn't work. He's a comedy goof. You made that bed, and now you're lying in it. And Tony needs to take a step back and look inward and figure it out. And start rejecting these awful ideas. Because it fucking stinks. And it was up and down the show last night. I mean, now we're going to do this titty thing every fucking week until we kill that with the subtlety hammer. Okay? You do one little titty bit with Mina Shirakawa and Harley, who I've done nothing but praise Harley, by the way, behind the paywall. Okay? So don't come at me with that. Okay? They do one little titty bit with those two that gets over because, okay, why ignore the elephant in the room? They both have a ton of sweater meat. We see it. So they go out there and shake their tits, and it gets over, and it's a cute thing, and they have their little titty match. But now we're going to destroy that with the subtlety hammer, too, and have Mina Shirakawa go out there and shake her tits with everybody. I mean, it's up and down the show last night, just one awful thing after another. And like I said, it really just brought to the surface everything that's wrong with the company in one 2-hour show. Not to mention, now we're going to do this thing with the Costco guys because, we brought in Trina, and we brought in Paul Walter Hauser, and we brought in Rick Ross, and we brought in Action Bronson, and we brought in the guy that designs jackets for some reason. Remember that guy?
Yeah, of course.
And we brought in all these guys, and every time that I would say this is a waste of fucking time, this shit never fucking works. You can't. It's not Mr. T. It's not Cyndi Lauper. It's not even
Floyd
fucking
Mayweather.
Bad Bunny. Okay, it's not Floyd Mayweather, and even some of those were massive success. Mr. T and Cyndi Lauper, can't argue it. But we've been chasing that fucking dragon for 40 years.
Mike Tyson. None of these
Mike
people
Tyson
are those
worked,
guys.
Yes, absolutely. And when they tried Mike Tyson, I didn't even rip that one. I said that was worth it.
Right, and guess what?
Mike
Tyson's still drawing 60 million fucking eyeballs in 2024. You know what I mean?
Mike Tyson just drew 70,000 people to Dallas and 65 million people on Netflix. Now, it didn't work when AEW tried it. It meant nothing for AEW, but Mike Tyson was worth a try. Okay? Of
course.
None of this other shit is ever worth it. It doesn't work, and all it does is piss off your core fan base.
It's not and it's not going to work. And this is the thing too that I see on Twitter. There's a bunch of people saying they got 22 million followers on TikTok, and the last video they did had 5 million views on AEW's YouTube page. Great, you can wipe your ass with all those numbers. Trust me, I'm somebody who works in social media. The shoot job, I work in social media. These people that consume Costco guys content and all this shit. They like easily disposable, free content that they can get easily and share again and watch it in 2 seconds and share. It's just that stuff doesn't matter. If you convert one person, and I would be stunned if you convert one person that's going to watch one of the 5 million people that watch the Costco guys cut a promo on Dynamite, that's going to maybe show up for the pre-show. Maybe they show up for the pre-show. Maybe they do. By the way, the ratings came out. They didn't watch the TV show. I'll tell you that. They didn't watch the fucking TV show this week.
I got numbers for you. How many people watched the YouTube video? 3 million people?
Something like that. I don't know what it is. It was that before.
Great.
But yeah.
Great. Here's how many people watched them on TV on Dynamite last night. 640,000 people. And here's some numbers for you. The TV show was down 4% in viewership and down 9% in 18 to 49.
Right. Despite being advertised that these men were going to be there. So then, okay.
As Rich is saying, these goofballs will watch this shit on YouTube. They're not investing in your product.
They're
they don't
not
care.
converting. You're not converting. You're not leveraging their free, easily consumable, low quality junk social media, TikTok,
low
YouTube shorts,
content.
That takes nothing. That's your phone gives you Costco guys going boom and maybe cutting a promo on AEW and you go, oh, okay, and then you move on and you scroll for the next 2 hours watching a bunch of other digestible bullshit or whatever.
Clicking the AEW YouTube to see them do the silly dance and then they don't do it and then they never think about AEW
and
again.
Even if they check in for the pre-show, how many of those people are going to go, oh man, you know what I need to do? I'm going to go over to Triller Powered by Fight. I'm going to go to YouTube TV. I'm going to go to payperview.com. I'm going to go to my local Dave & Buster's and make sure I plop down money to watch AEW Full Gear 2024. No, you are going to get zero conversions on that.
Here's how many. Zero. I bet you it's zero. Absolute zero. I bet you it's closer to zero than 100 that people who are going to buy the pay-per-view after watching them on the pre-show. It's just easy. These people watch these little TikToks because it's like you said, it's easy and there's no investment. It takes 60 seconds to watch them do their little dance on TikTok. They're not paying to watch these people. They didn't even watch them for free last night when they knew they were going to be on the show. It's a waste of time.
They wait for clips and eventually they know they'll clip it on YouTube or they're going to share it on their TikTok. And this is the thing that I always bring up every time there's a celebrity thing on there, and especially in the social media age, is if I love person X, perfect example. I love the Costco guys. Okay, great. Why the fuck am I going to pay $50 and watch a pay-per-view? Why the fuck am I going to watch AEW Dynamite this week? I don't really care that much. I'll see the clip. They're going to share the clip. I'll find the clip. The clip will find me. with the algorithms, the clip will find me because they know I'm into these guys. I don't have to seek this out. I don't have to go any further. Eventually that clip will come to me. And other than that, I don't really like wrestling, so why am I going to watch these guys in a wrestling context? The ones that always work, the Mr. T's, the Mike Tysons, the Floyd Mayweathers, all these sort of people that you mentioned, the reason that those work is because they are massive sports celebrities that work in a sports context. They work in the context of, I want to watch them do something physical, or I want to watch them get their ass kicked, or I want to watch them kick someone's ass. That's why you would convert somebody that likes boxing into wrestling. That's why you convert a sports fan into watching wrestling. Not because we saw the guest host era. For God's sakes, how many years did they do the guest host eras and it didn't fucking matter? Because nobody gave a shit that Jeremy Piven was guest hosting. No Entourage fan was going, oh my God, my Monday night's got to be cleared. Jeremy Piven's going to be on Raw. Like, they don't care. That stuff never fucking works, and it's not going to work for the Costco guys. And I'm glad you can screenshot all their TikTok followers all you want. You can screenshot the Twitter views. You can screenshot the YouTube views. It's not going to convert anybody. Zero. You're going to get zero. Yeah. I'm positive of it.
I got a screenshot for you. Dynamite was down 10% last night. That's my
There's your fucking screenshot. Yeah.
There's your fucking screenshot. And all it does is serve to annoy your core fan base. More so in AEW than WWE. Because it's a different kind of fan. The ones that are left. It's a different kind of fan. That is more apt to roll their eyes at that stuff and say, I don't want this. You know what I mean? So, it's just not, it was just, to me, and I said it in my review, I thought it was a putrid episode of Dynamite. And I liked Claudio and Darby. I thought they had, Claudio is on a tear. He's doing some great work, and Darby's Darby, and the opening 8-man was fine and all that. There's been Dynamites with worse matches, but as a total package in terms of a show that's frustrating and a bad watch and just a bunch of bad segments, this Dynamite was really bad. I think this has a chance to be the first AEW pay-per-view in a long time that doesn't meet its expectations with the pay-per-view buys, because I just don't think the main event is over. And I'm not sure that anything else underneath the main event is particularly over either. I mean, the Orange Cassidy Wheeler Yuta match last night, on top of neither guy getting a reaction when they came out, the match wasn't good. And those two guys should be having a good match. And then the post-match stuff where you knew he was going to take a beatdown because he told his boys not to help him was just perplexing. It's I guess the idea is Orange is a human he's sacrificing himself because he doesn't want to see his friends get hurt.
They didn't beat him down that much. I mean, they just kind of pushed him a couple times.
Well, they curb stomped him and taped his hands behind his pockets, and then the idea was he got up anyway and was defiant. I think that was the idea behind it. I don't know. It was a bad show, especially for a go home show. And the company has just a bevy of issues. One of them being these dead crowds, but at least they're finally attempting to address that with running the smaller buildings. And that's one of the things that we wanted to talk about. And they've, we were like, why don't they have a schedule for the fall and winter? And now they do. And now we know some of the buildings they're running, and they're all, mid to smaller size buildings, some of which they've run before, some of which they've never run, like Hammerstein Ballroom, which, they've got 1,500 tickets out for that. And they will fill that. I think they're at 1,100 now, but the show is not until December 22nd. And I think a hot Hammerstein Ballroom crowd is going to be the kind of thing that they haven't had in ages. And it's going to make the TV come across so much better when your stars and your stories are actually getting a reaction from the crowd, which they haven't had in a while. And quite honestly, it's just that dull, listless atmosphere, which then makes people not feel like stars.
Of course.
And that is a big, big problem for them right now. Before we even attack some of the creative decisions and the silliness and the fact there's too much silliness and goofiness on the show and all those things, the first thing they have to fix is the atmosphere of these shows. And at least they're taking steps to do that now.
Definitely. Yeah, they're running a bunch of different buildings that interesting buildings too. So you look at the sizes and whatnot, and Brandon Thurston had a nice rundown here, and we tweeted it in our we linked to the tweet in our show notes if you want to read those. But some buildings they're going to be running in Washington. They're going to Washington, D.C. We talked about this one last week because this got announced while we were on the show. The Entertainment and Sports Arena in Washington, D.C., 4,200. is the setup there. And these are just kind of estimated setups for what the arena is usually set up for, what could possibly be set up for. But that shows you right there. They're not running the whatever the hell it is right now. I don't know what the building is even called right now. Where the Wizards play in the Capitals or whatever, where they would normally, last year that's what they would have run. Now they decided to go to this one, which is like a 4,000 capacity. Hammerstein Ballroom, like you mentioned, 2,000 people basically you can get in there. Maybe you can jump it up a little bit to 2,300, but that's about the most you can possibly do. The Bojangles Coliseum, they're running there. That's got about 9,600 capacity. So that's a little bit of a bigger one, but that they're running a collision there. We'll see what ends up happening there. F&M Bank Arena, that's like a 5,500 seat arena. Atkins Ford Center, that's about 8,000, a little over 8,000. Broadbent Arena, that's about a little over 6,000. Knoxville Coliseum, a little over 6,000. But that's like the total size of these buildings. Like what the difference is, and you might be saying, oh my God, they're not going to sell those. They haven't been selling. The difference of a 12 to 14 to 15,000 seat arena and getting 2,000 people in it is a lot different than a 6,000 seat arena and getting 2,000 people in it. You know what I mean? Like that, it will still be a bigger deal. They're not going to fill all these numbers. They're not going to fill these buildings up, but it just shows that they're not running, buildings that have massive capacities and can probably set them up for a much easier time. The Probst Arena is about 10,000. The Fort Bend Count Epicenter is about 8,000. The HEB Center, about 8,000. Arizona Financial Theater, that's very similar to Daly's Place. It's kind of like the Daly's Place there in Phoenix, Arizona. That's 5,000. And then, a couple other ones there. The Front Wave Arena, 7,500. These are not names that, you might know what the hell I'm talking about. You might say, what the hell are all these names? But I think that speaks to the idea that they are running secondary buildings. They're going to these towns and running the secondary smaller buildings in each of these areas. And that not only, it also makes ticket scarcity a thing too. And that was the early days of AEW. Ticket scarcity was a giant thing. You had to buy your tickets to an AEW show right away because they were going to sell out. You know what I mean? That you had to say, I don't care what's on the show. It's coming in 6 months, whatever. Let's buy our tickets right now. You don't have to do that anymore. Oh my God, they're running a 15,000 seat arena. There's no way they're going to sell that out. And there'll be ticket deals up until the day before. So I'm just going to wait until the day before or the day of and buy my ticket there. At least, maybe with some of these arenas, they'll only be set up for 3,000 people. And you'll say, well, fuck, if I want to go, I better, maybe I do have to buy a ticket to make sure that I get in the building. And that's a big issue too, is they kind of destroyed their ticket scarcity by running these big giant buildings, and people knew, oh fuck, I don't have to jump on this right away. And when you give people that option, when you don't force it into people to say, fuck, I just might as well buy my ticket now, they wait and they wait and they wait and they wait. And either they get a ticket at a greatly reduced rate, or maybe they say, I got a lot of stuff going on. I'm tired. I had a bad day at work. The weather's not good. I'm not going to go. Screw it. You know what I mean? Like that. Whereas if I bought my ticket 6 months ago, fuck, I better get there. I paid full price for this ticket 6 months ago. I'm tired, but whatever. I'll sleep tomorrow. You know what I mean? I bought this ticket. Let's go. Big difference than waiting the day of and then saying, I don't really feel like going. Something came up. The dog's sick. I'm not going. There are a lot of things can happen in the lead up. But that's kind of their new direction here. They are. For Revolution, I thought this was interesting. They're going to the Crypto.com arena for that. So that's the obviously the Los Angeles Lakers, the former Staples Center, the current Crypto.com arena, which is interesting because they've run the LA Forum previously for Revolution, and I think one of the Dynamites they ran at the LA Forum. And you might be wondering, well, what the hell's going on here? Why are they doing that? Well, the reason why they're probably moving from the Crypto to the Crypto arena from the Forum is because the Clippers and Steve Ballmer, their owner, built the Intuit Dome. So he built a brand new arena, and he also owns the Forum now. You might be wondering what's going on at the Intuit Dome. Well, Raw, the debut of Raw on Netflix, is at the Intuit Dome. So there's a very likely possibility that Ballmer and his, the company that runs the arenas Forum or whatever, they own Intuit and they own the Forum. So it's likely that, AEW can't go at the Forum anymore. So they went across town, and they're going to be at the Crypto.com arena for Revolution. So we'll see how that goes for them. But it's. I think this is the right. Obviously, I've been on record saying this is the right move to do a year and a half ago. I would have cut bait on a lot of the big arenas they did basically a year ago. But this is a good time to do it now. As good a time as any, and we'll see how it looks and feels. And I think it's they tried the big buildings. And it didn't work, and it's time to kind of pare that down and go back to what they were doing in the early days of AEW, where they would go to bigger arenas for the pay-per-views, but for the most part, for your normal Dynamites were typically in smaller arenas set up for, to get 5,000-6,000 people and not necessarily, 14,000.
Well, I think if nothing else, if you're in somewhere like Hammerstein and you have 1,500 people who are hot for everything, it's going to come across on TV. Where if you have 2,500 people in some of these other buildings they've been running. Even if they're hot, it might not come across on TV. And you don't have to do these super tight angles where you're showing 1/8 of the building, which looks bad, and it's obvious to people that nobody's there. You can go back to doing a wide shot of 1,500 maniacs hanging from the rafters, being excited to be at the wrestling show. Kind of like at Daly's Place, which isn't a big building either. But when they've run Daly's Place during the era where there were fans allowed, it always comes across like it's a hot ticket because the place is full and it's a unique look and everything. You don't necessarily have to have 20,000 people in a building to have a show come across looking hot.
Of course not.
That was the ECW formula, and why they would, Heyman would take losses running the ECW arena, but pack as many people as humanly possible in there, and because what did ECW come across? Like the hottest wrestling show in the country because of that super hot crowd of 1,500 people or whatever it was that they pack in there every 3 weeks.
I always fought back against that. People always said, oh, no, they got to be in these big buildings. They got to be in the big buildings. It makes them look professional. It makes them look... No, I think what makes you look professional and makes you look hot and makes you look good is a packed arena. I don't give a shit if it's the Knoxville Coliseum or the Atkins Ford Arena or whatever. Who cares? I think as long as the crowd's hot and it's mostly full, that makes you look major league. That makes you look professional. Not a black abyss that they're wrestling in right now where they come out and it's fucking... You hear the echo and you see the darkness everywhere. That looks way worse than stuffing a bunch of people in an arena that might not have all the great LED screens. It might not have all the flashy looks that a lot of other... Man, pack people into a building and have them have a hot crowd. That always, to me, comes across so much better than whatever they've been doing lately where, trying to lie to themselves that, oh, this is what we need to be. This is what we have to do. We have to have this. We have to have that. No, you have to have a hot crowd. You have to have a hot crowd that makes your product look hot, not... you don't need all these LED fucking screens. You don't need this big giant arena and this big giant whatever. It's stupid. Just have a product that's hot and have a crowd that's hot and pack them in as much as you possibly can in whatever arena you have to pack them in. That is going to make your product look a lot better. Not some dumb shit, LED screen.
Every day when you log into ChumbaCasino.com, the ultimate online social casino, you get a free daily bonus. Imagine if you got daily bonuses in other parts of your life.
I chose French fries over loaded French fries.
I asked Stuart from accounting about his weekend, even though I don't care.
I updated my operating system without having to call tech support.
Collect your free daily bonus at ChumbaCasino.com now. And live the Chumba life. VGW Group. No purchase necessary. Void where prohibited by law. See terms and conditions. 18+.
And then when you're hot and you can run the bigger buildings again, of course you do.
Sure.
Of course you do. So, smart move. I don't see how anyone could disagree with it. If they can't fit their goofy sets in there or whatever, right? Who cares? They create a new set.
Yeah, sorry.
That will fit.
Leave an LED screen at home, man. I don't know what to tell you. Sorry.
It's really not that important. So, from that standpoint, it's a good move. We got anything else with AEW before we start breaking down this pay-per-view?
No, that's all I got from AEW. So let's go to the pay-per-view. We got breaking news, by the way, on the pay-per-view.
Okay.
We got a new match announced.
Pre-show or pay-per-view?
Main show.
Okay.
You may know these men. They may have been on Dynamite. Why the match didn't get announced on Dynamite, I don't know. Konosuke Takeshita versus Ricochet. Announced via social media about 20 minutes ago.
Via social media?
Yep.
Was it announced via TikTok?
I'm not on the Tik and or the Tok, so I can't tell you. I don't really want all my data to be stolen. Enough of my data is already stolen by all these other apps. I would prefer for TikTok not to steal all my data too. So I am not on the TikTok, but I imagine it probably did. But as far as I know, it was announced on Blue Sky and Twitter and other places like that. So,
all right. Why wouldn't you announce that on Dynamite?
Joe, I don't know.
Pretty big match.
That is a pretty big match. And also, both those men were on Dynamite in a match together. Would have been a good time.
It's a title match, I would presume.
I believe you are correct. So, I don't know. I would have maybe said, hey, you know what? We don't have time for this Jack Perry, Daniel Garcia spooky bullshit. And we got to announce a match that might make people buy this pay-per-view. So I don't know. I can't tell you. But yes, AEW International Championship match, Konosuke Takeshita versus Ricochet this Saturday on Full Gear.
I got no problem with that.
No, it's great. It's a great match. It's a really, really
That's
good match.
Instantly my second most anticipated match on the show.
That was going to be my take too. Is like that. As I'm doing a little in my head count, I have a match that's number 1. That's pretty locked in. Number 2 is really up for grabs. I was going to say there's a lot of matches that could vie for my number 2, but now it's pretty locked
this
in.
Is easy.
Yeah, now Konosuke Takeshita and Ricochet is locked in. But let's go over the rest of the show here. Preview what we have coming up. So obviously on the pre-show, the Costco guy and his fat kids are going to be on there with QT Marshall. Great, awesome.
You're not a Rizzler guy.
Not a Rizzler guy. Not a what's fucking Dick Justice. What's the other kid's name? Matthew Justice.
Big Justice. Big
Justice. Big Justice. Yeah, don't care.
AJ's the dad.
AJ's the dad. Yeah, who by the way cut a top 1% promo on Dynamite. That how bad is it? And this is not good, by the way. I'm not putting over, for the record, I'm not putting over Costco guy, but he had a promo that knocked I think I compare Kyle O'Reilly's promo where he marble-mouthed something and you're like, what is happening? What is he saying? What does he want? What is the point of this man talking? What do I want to take from this man's discussion that he's having here? Take the marble-mouthed Kyle O'Reilly thing and then compare it to Costco guy who's basically just doing classic wrestling promo, saying, hey, this Saturday at AEW Full Gear, QT Marshall, I'm going to show you. I was like, great. This guy's a top 1% promo.
The date, the time, the venue.
Right. I was like, fuck.
Former pro wrestler. So
gets it. How does nobody else get it? How is this man the top promo on this episode of Dynamite?
Let me think of all the promos that were on Dynamite.
Think about it. Run it down.
All right. We had man, I can't really you know what else I love? Dynamite opened up with Excalibur hyping up the Moxley Orange Cassidy match by saying it's about control of AEW. How?
Is it?
How Moxley doesn't have control of anything. They keep telling us he has control of AEW, but then he just comes out at the top of the hour like he always does, and then we never see him again. Like, what control does this man have over the company?
Well,
none.
When you have the title, you have the control or something. I don't know.
No.
Oh.
He doesn't run anything. Anyway, let's see. We had we had a short Mox pre-tape. I don't know if that counts. And then a Darby one to set up Darby versus Claudio later in the show. We had the Cole promo, which was interrupted by Kyle O'Reilly.
I am voting Costco guy over Adam Cole, and I am very much voting Costco guy over Kyle O'Reilly's promo.
We had Orange Cassidy telling his boys to back off. He doesn't want them to get hurt. That stunk. We had looking for promo. Oh, Mina Shirakawa and Mariah May shaking their tits.
Yeah, I think AJ was better, right?
Then it was the Costco guys. Then it was MJF coming out of his car to talk about
theater school
Roddy's
bullshit.
dad shoot his mom. The theater school shit, which I guess was delivered fine.
It looked like a Need for Speed, like a cutscene in like an Xbox 360 Need for Speed game.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
Where it's like, you think you're the raddest racer on these streets? You ain't nothing, man. And I was like, what is this? What is happening? As he pulls up in his car, and then there's like a bum that looked like Chris Hero, and he throws a coin. I'm like, what the fuck is this? Jesus Christ! Where the best wrestle? What the hell?
Yeah,
fuck.
Another car I don't care about. Another car I don't care about.
Right.
I don't even know what kind of car it was. I don't care.
I don't
Nobody
care.
tell me what it
Maserati.
was.
I don't know. Maserati. Fuck. Who gives a shit? Yeah.
Could have been a fucking Honda for all I know. I just
know.
don't give a shit. Then we had Roderick Strong. Max! Obviously, it was better than that. We had Garcia and Perry in the dungeon with him chained to the chair.
I know Costco guy was better because I don't know what I'm supposed to think. After the Garcia, at least I can't believe I'm putting this guy over again. I know where this guy is wrestling, who he's wrestling, why he's wrestling, and when he's wrestling him, right? That's all we need, man. That's Wrestling 101 right there. Tell me where and when and why. And Daniel Garcia is spending this, weaving a tale in this soliloquy while he holds a pipe or whatever. Like the fuck? I don't care. Who cares?
Looked like one of those porns set up where you see the castle first. Right? That's what it looked like they were doing.
Also, why was the camera there? Remember when we used to have
Menard was holding the camera. Menard.
Okay.
He pointed the camera at himself.
Oh, okay. At least they gave him
Let me
that.
show you
Okay.
what we're doing. Let's see what we're going to do to this guy here. Let's go do with this guy.
Okay.
Right? And then he
I
pointed
missed
the
that
camera
part.
at
Okay. I'll give him that then. That's good. I'm glad they did that.
Yeah. So they did establish that. And yeah, that.
Hey, is everything with the guy
chomping on the gum? Yeah.
Hey, what are you doing?
Hey, look at this guy over here. Look at this guy over here. Yeah. Let's do this guy. Yeah, that was pretty much all the promos on the show. I mean, so I don't know. Yeah, the cookie guy, he was all right, I guess. Have you ever tried explaining to people who the Rizzler is? Have you ever tried to do this?
No, I haven't. I don't even know who the Rizzler is, and I don't want to know. And don't try to explain it to me. I don't care.
Well, we were out to eat. Every time we go out to eat now, the boy.
You're going to explain this to me, aren't you?
Will you just listen? So the boy, every time we go out to eat, okay, he's like 7 years old. I think he's in, what grade is he in? He might be in first grade or say, I don't know what grade he's in. So we go out to eat, and he does this thing where he like chats up the waitress.
Well, he is your son.
Blatantly,
he is your son, so of course
he just lays it on.
He'd be annoying. He'd be annoying and hitting on women at all times. Yeah.
Yeah, that's exactly what he does every time we go out to eat, and they love it, because he's a little kid, so they giggle and they laugh. And about a month or so ago, we were out, and I was like, "Who are you, the Rizzler?" Right? And my wife looks at me, she's like, "What? The who?" And then I'm like, "Oh, the Rizzler." And she's like, "I don't know what the who." And then I was like, "Oh, the Rizzler. It's the kid who." And then I couldn't explain like who the Rizzler was. It's impossible to explain who these people are. Now the boy knew who I was talking about, because he locked in, right? He's like, he starts doing the chin thing with his finger, he's like, the Rizzler, but you can't. And then what I realized is it's impossible to explain these people. Even the Costco guys, they just flex and do that step dance in front. Why
is that
are people
it? Is that the whole
this?
gimmick? That's the whole gimmick, right?
That's the whole. They stand flexed and put one foot in front. That little dance, they put one foot in front of the other, and then their song plays.
Yeah,
3:15, like that whole thing. Like that's the whole fucking thing. They just put out videos of that over and over and over. And that's
you'll like this. You'll love this. I'm on their Wikipedia page. Yeah. I love this note that was added here. It says Andrew AJ Bufumo, who is of Italian descent. Gee, you fucking think. Thanks, Wikipedia editor, who had to add that Andrew Bufumo of Colts Neck, New Jersey, is of Italian descent. Thanks. I had no idea. I thought he was Persian. Thank you for correcting. Was that necessary? And it's got a citation on it too. It's got a citation on it, just in case someone was like, "Hold on a minute. Hold on a minute."
You never know.
Are you sure this man's not Dutch? Oh, no. Andrew AJ Bufumo of Colts Neck, New Jersey, is indeed of Italian descent. Okay, good to know.
Big Yankees fans too. They did a video for the Yankees when they were in the World Series.
Oh, great.
They flexed and did the step dance.
Well,
for the Yankees.
Didn't help them. They lost.
They lost there. Well, you'll all get sick of Ohtani like I am. You'll just be slower, but you'll all get there. I'm so sick of that fucking guy. Yeah, so I don't know. Yeah, getting back to it, maybe he was the best promo on the show. That's entirely possible, unless you count the Mox promo.
Yeah,
I guess.
not a lot of other contenders on the show. So again, that's not necessarily putting over the Costco Cookie Boom guy or the fat kid, but at least it
the Rizzler.
Now the Rizzler wasn't there, right? Isn't the Rizzler coming on the pay-per-view?
No, they called him into the scene, didn't they? They said
no, I think they said he was going to be there on Saturday.
Oh, that's the hook. You got to tune in to see the Rizzler.
Yeah, great.
Who Big Justice, he broke kayfabe and exposed the Rizzler's shoot name. Did you see that?
Oh, I didn't. No.
On one of their videos, he called him by his shoot name, and the Rizzler wasn't pleased about it. The Rizzler was upset. So
is the Rizzler related, or is he a friend, or what's the? Oh, he's a friend.
I think he's just another.
Is he a separate YouTube personality? And they've done a crossover episode.
Forces.
They did a crossover
episode.
Okay, all right.
Right now, but they weren't together initially. No.
Great.
Yeah.
You've already told me way more than I want to know about these fucking guys. So hopefully after the
They're
pre-show,
going to be on your wrestling show. I figured you need to be caught up on these guys. They're chicken crunch cookie or whatever the fuck. No, it's the double chocolate crunch.
And then there's the chicken.
The chicken bake.
By the way,
chicken bake. You seem to know a lot about this, actually. To be honest, if I'm being honest,
I know a lot about Costco because I know too many. I know way too many Costco adults, and there is.
Is that a real thing? Costco adults?
Yes.
Don't you just go there and buy your food and go home? Like what? What do you mean Costco adults?
People love Costco. They make Costco their personality, and it's like, my God, find a hobby. For God's sakes, find a hobby.
Did you just buy a 5-gallon vat of mayonnaise and move upon your day?
That's what I thought. No, but people are like, there's whole groups devoted to like going to Costco and being like, they sell this shed for $3,200. It's so cool. And it's like, okay, it's just a fucking store. Just
sharing deals. Like what?
Go to the store and buy things and then leave. Like, why is this your personality? And like, oh, the fucking hot dog. Great. I'm glad you spent $1.50 on a bad hot dog. Like, I don't need to hear about it all the time. I'm glad the chicken bake. I'm glad the chicken. I get it. They sell something that's called the chicken bake. I got it, guys. We heard you.
Right. It looks like a loaf of bread. What is that thing?
I don't know.
Looks like a loaf of bread.
I don't care. But yeah, they're the Costco adults. You have to stop. For God's sakes, find a real hobby. Find something else to do instead of making a big box bulk retail store your personality. Like, Jesus Christ, find something else to do with your life. Yeah. Anyway.
At least go to Disney like a proper weirdo.
Right. While I don't respect Disney adults, I get it. I don't
respect Disney adults.
Do you respect Disney adults?
No, of course not.
Getting proposed to in front of the fucking
can't respect the
castle or whatever, you know what I mean, with their fucking ears on. It's just like, come on.
I just picture Johnny Gargano walking around with
with his fucking ears, with the ears on.
Yeah. Yeah.
And a shirt that says like Papa Bear or something like that. You know what I mean?
Papa Bear.
Right.
He couldn't think of a character. He went with Papa Bear.
Yeah. I don't know. What would be the character? I don't know what's a good fatherly figure in the Disney universe.
The Jungle Book or something. I don't know.
The Jungle
Is that
Book.
Canceled? Did the Jungle Book get canceled?
Is the Jungle Book canceled? I don't know.
It probably is. Let's be honest.
That's a good gimmick. We got to do that on the Patreon one of these days. Just an hour of, is this canceled or not? You know, if I like Coney, am I canceled or not? We talked about last week. Like, if I'm pro Coney, am I canceled? Or if I anti Coney, am I canceled? Like, what?
The way people mocked us, I'm assuming you would definitely be canceled if you were pro Coney.
Okay.
I still don't know what it is.
I don't know.
But
I don't know. Yeah, and
I still have no idea.
Is the Jungle Book canceled? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't know either. There's a lot of Disney that's canceled.
Yeah.
I
almost dated a Minnie Mouse. Did you know that?
It drove you away.
Mm-hmm.
You didn't want nothing to do with it.
No, she was nice. She was a good-looking woman too. But I was just like, look, I'm not the guy you need. Like, I don't like any of this stuff. It's you know,
it's gonna annoy me.
As much as I would love to continue dating you, because there's a lot of fun things about you, the Disney thing is a little much for me. So at some point, like what we're doing right now is then we're gonna move on to the next portion of the relationship. And that's where it's gonna end right there. So I'd rather just stop this now as opposed to continue to do. And then we get to that point, and it's like, oh, cool. You want to come with me to watch the fucking this movie? And no. Why would I ever want to watch that movie? You want to come to Disney World? No, I don't want to go to Florida or Orlando, Florida, and walk around fucking Disney World for a whole weekend and spend $9,000 to do it. No, I'm not interested in doing that.
I wonder what movie it was. What era was this? Was
this
like,
was
give me a year.
2010. When I was dating Minnie Mouse.
A little Mulan, maybe a little Mulan or something like that.
Mulan was no way. Mulan was way before 2010.
Was it?
Yeah.
A little Princess and the Frog, maybe. Princess and the Frog.
Yeah. I don't.
I'm naming all the big hits.
All the modern big hits in Disney.
Moana. Maybe it was Moana. That's 2010.
I think it was a little after. I think that might have been a little after. But
after Moana. Okay.
Maybe not. Maybe it was right around that. Yeah, I don't remember what it was. She didn't actually invite me to a movie. I just knew that was like the next step that we were going to do. You know what I mean? Like that it was going to get into that level of relationship.
Right.
And that's when I was like, yeah, see, this is where we're going to end, because
I'm curious about the movie she wanted to go to, though. See, that's the thing. That's interesting to me. Like what 2010 Disney movie she was all into.
Yeah.
Had to be a cartoon, right?
Oh,
like
yeah,
she
of
wasn't
course.
going away.
Yeah, of course.
All right.
And I was like, well, I'll go see Moneyball if you want to go see Moneyball. But like, yeah, Tangled or whatever, I'm not too into or whatever. Yeah.
That'd be 2010.
Yeah. So now
maybe something where Lindsay Lohan swaps with her mother or something.
Yeah.
Nothing live action.
Parent Trap or whatever. Yeah, Parent Trap, I believe.
Cartoon Disney movie, right? That she wants.
Not Parent Trap. Parent Trap's not that one. Is it? No. What was
Might be.
Yeah, maybe. I don't know.
Freaky Friday. Freaky Friday.
Yeah. Is that it?
That's the Lindsay Lohan one.
Okay.
Yeah. Parent Trap might have been, who's the girl that went crazy that was at Nickelodeon, all that.
You need to be a little bit more specific. Oh, you're thinking of, I don't think she was Parent Trap.
Amanda Bynes.
Amanda Bynes. I think Parent Trap was also Lindsay Lohan, but many years prior.
Right. You think you're right. I think you're right.
Anyway.
Amanda Bynes was like, she didn't do Disney movies, but she did like
she was a
those tween
Nickelodeon.
movies.
Yeah, she was a Nickelodeon actor.
Right. She did make movies though. She was in some awful like tween, like the one where she becomes a princess and she's like uncouth, right? But she's like uncouth. She's like a princess that like still farts and stuff.
Yeah,
like, wasn't that the basis of it? Yeah, and then she's batshit insane now, right?
There's a lot of a lot of the Nickelodeon people might have some good cases for why they are the way they are.
I watched that doc.
Yeah.
I watched the doc.
That was a tough one.
I
had to watch alone because the nurse is like, I started watching it. She's like, why? Why do you want to watch this? And I was like, I don't know.
Because you want to learn.
I want to learn. And now I know. And I'm like, I wish I didn't know any of that stuff. But it's good to know it. It's good to know it. You know what I mean? You can't be innocent. Can't be innocent in this world. You got to know what's going on.
That's right. That's not entirely always true. We just did a whole segment last week.
Yeah, we did. Well, no, it's better. Trust me, I wish I didn't have the mind that I have, but I was like, well, I got to figure out what's going on here. I got to figure out everybody who was abused and who abused them. But I mean, I wish I didn't, and the nurse has no idea.
Well, next you can get all caught up on Julian Assange and let me know who that is, because I still don't know who that is. And people talk about him all the time. It's Julian Assange.
Do they
That's
talk
what
about,
happened there.
Do they really talk about all the time? You
know the name, don't you?
I do know the name, but I know the name from 10 years ago. Is anybody still bringing him up?
I don't know, but they were bringing it up 10 years ago when you were dating the Disney adult.
That's true.
In every conversation, you know what that is? That's Julian Assange. I'm like, what? Who? Don't know what the hell you're talking about. Edward Snowden. No, I don't know. Have no idea what he's done. I know Evil Clown from the PWO board and DVD-VR, but I don't know Edward Snowden. That's a deep cut.
That's a good cut. Yeah, I'm just going to leave that one out there. Anyway, let's continue our Full Gear preview. Locked in on AEW Full Gear, obviously. Main show itself, AEW TNT title, Jack Perry versus Daniel Garcia. Get into it. Jack Perry's going to be coming for revenge because his taillight on his beater van has now been broken. So,
yeah.
I can't wait to see Jack Perry get his revenge on Daniel Garcia for ruining his tailpipe or his
He got
taillight.
a ticket on the way home, Rich, for that busted taillight.
Damn it. Yeah.
And he's hot about it.
I know. The guy's, as he pulls over. I know. It's out. A lunatic chained me to the front of it, and then he broke it on.
Officer, it's a whole thing.
Yeah.
There's an Italian mobster from Montreal involved. It just, none of it makes sense. I'm not going to bother trying to explain.
I will get it fixed. Write me a warning. I promise I'll have it fixed by tomorrow.
Yeah.
I got an appointment. I'm going to place. I know.
I got to tell you, I am not looking forward to another decade of Jack Perry being pushed in this company. He does nothing for me, and it's to the point where it's like go away heat for me. I don't see it. I've never seen it, and I still don't see it. Am I eventually going to be wrong about this or what? Because I don't fucking see it.
No, I don't think you're going to be wrong. I don't think I think there's value in him as like a decent mid-carder, maybe, but there's no like as a pillar main eventer, no way.
Top guy in pro wrestling?
Hell no.
That's what they think he is. That's what Tony thinks he is.
Not Tony thinks. I think
that's funny because I've heard two people say that, Dave Meltzer and Tony Khan. I've never heard anyone else say it.
Yeah.
Have you ever heard anyone else hold that opinion?
Not really. No.
What do they see that no one else sees?
California,
California,
good looks. I don't know. I think there's more to it than that. I mean, I don't. The guy's 27 too. We're also acting like he's still got like
Right.
I mean, he's 27. That's not again. 27 doesn't mean like, oh, your career's over, but like, I think you'd see it by now, right? At 27, 5'10".
This guy in the chat. Actually, officer, I was on my way to AutoZone, but I was illegally detained by a pro wrestler in a torture dungeon.
Right. I'm gonna need you to come with me. I'm gonna need you to step out of the vehicle, sir. In the beater van with all the spray paint on it or whatever.
Getting dragged away despite the fact he's telling the truth.
Yeah. I'm telling you, it's on national television.
Yeah, right. Whatever, guy. Yeah, the
AEW
the
Dynamite on TBS.
Yeah,
okay.
You're Italian mobster from Montreal. Yeah, okay, please, let's go. Dragging him away in cuffs. Fucking stupid.
It's so dumb. What has happened?
It's so bad. What happened?
Who cares? Who gives a fuck who wins this match? You give a shit if Danny Garcia wins this title? Who cares? Who fucking cares?
I'm kind of annoyed that Daniel Garcia is dragged into this shit. I think he's really trying his best. Like, he keeps slamming him into walls, and he's coming across like a tough guy, but he's just wrapped up in this stupid. The stupid elements of this is just like it's dragging him into this pit. I don't know. I don't care who wins. I want Jack Perry to suffer a series of high ankle sprains that prevent him from wrestling, like, for the next till his contract's up. Is that fair to say?
That's a little mean-spirited, but
well, a high ankle sprain. I don't want him to break his neck. I tried to pick something.
Those suck. No, man, no, those stink. I don't want high ankle sprains.
All right. Well, I'm not saying. I don't wish the man to not be well. I just don't like watching him wrestle. I mean, actually, I don't even mind watching him wrestle. It's everything else about Jack Perry. The presentation, the fact that he's overpushed. I can't get into Jack Perry. I will never accept that he's tough. They can't sell me on that man being tough, which is why it worked as like an underdog babyface. I think he worked better as that, but not as like he's from the Jungle Book. That part of it had no future. Like, I acknowledge that, right? He can't be Tarzan forever. But this isn't working either, because I don't care how thick his beard is. I will never buy that he can beat someone up. I just can't buy him.
So, anyway, yeah, who cares? Roderick Strong versus MJF. Obviously, MJF is winning this, and
well, and we're gonna go down some goofy road. He's gonna cripple him or something based on the O'Reilly promo, right? Like, and we're gonna get more Adam Cole shocked face, and speaking of which, Wheeler Utah did the shocked face when he ate the banana peel loss to Orange Cassidy. Did you catch that? Mm-hmm. Wheeler Utah rolled up and did the shock face. A lot of NXT elements on AEW last night.
A little too much
for
my liking. But I don't. Do you care about Roger Strong and MJF?
No, I mean, there's people that really hate that this storyline is happening. I wasn't one of them at first, but I'm starting to come around. I think the Adam Cole bashing is getting be a little uncomfortable to the extent that people go after him every week. It's getting a little too personal and uncomfortable, right? And that's coming from me. I think some of the shit that I've said about various performers, but I don't think I ever go down that road. Like, people are getting nasty about Adam Cole, and I don't know. The whole thing is just, the whole story is just something I'm not interested in. And, I don't know. Yeah, you're right. I don't care.
Don't care. Speaking of another match I unfortunately do not care much about, AEW World Tag Team Title 4-way match. Private Party, your AEW World Tag Team Champions, defending against the fucking Acclaimed. My God, the Acclaimed. The Outrunners and the Kings of the Black Throne, Brody King and Malachi Black.
Rich, is this going to be a good pay-per-view?
So far, no.
I mean,
the last half of the show gives me a little bit of hope, but so far,
there's been times we weren't excited about the AEW pay-per-view, but we've concluded, you know what, though, it's probably going to be great because they're almost always great.
One of the safest bets in wrestling.
I don't know about this one. I mean, there's a couple matches that are almost guaranteed to be great. And I'm sure some of these matches that we're ripping on are going to end up being really good. That always happens, right?
Of course.
This is not one of them. I have no fucking use for this. My feelings on Private Party have been expressed loudly. I don't get them. I don't think there's any future in them. I don't like them. And you combine that with a 4-way, one of my other least favorite things in wrestling. And, you got the Outrunners in there. They're going to be yucking it up. Look, they've earned a pay-per-view spot. That's fine. But I think we're all just waiting around for FTR to turn on the Outrunners and beat them to a bloody pulp.
Right. Or we're waiting for something to happen with the Acclaimed, where Bowens turns on Caster, Caster turns on Bowens. I think I can't imagine anybody on this planet that is still, slapping their hands together and going, all right, here we go. The Acclaimed. Scissor me, daddy ass. You know what I mean? Like, that is so overwrought at this point. I mean, we're a year past expiration date. We're probably a year and a half past expiration date on the Acclaim. But now it is unbelievable that they're still together and still getting pushed. So I don't know. I don't know if this is going to be, like you said, I'm kind of waiting for the Acclaimed to break up, and I'm kind of waiting for FTR to beat up the Outrunners. And that's my excitement about the sexy 4-way match, not necessarily anything that happens. And I guess the Kings of the Black Throne will maybe win. I don't know. Or Private Party retains. It's very possible Private Party retains. So we're going to get,
here's the problem. We're going to get 20 minutes of 4-way match spots, which are technically exciting and good, but that we don't give a fuck about. And then they're going to do an angle.
Yeah. It has all the makings of an angle-heavy pay-per-view, and that has me worried. It was like Double or Nothing. Remember Double or Nothing from earlier this year? That was every match had a run-in. Every match had the same finish, like over and over and over again. Like we saw. I'm kind of getting the same thought, because you are watching Roderick Strong versus MJF 100% knowing that Adam Cole is going to get involved in some way, shape, or form, right? Kyle O'Reilly, Adam Cole. Those guys are going to get involved in some way, shape, or form. So you don't care. You don't care about a near fall 11 minutes into the match, because I haven't seen Adam Cole yet. So why would I believe in any of the near falls? And that's, again, like I'm saying, like the private, this 4-way match, like, I don't know. I guess you're waiting for some sort of thing to happen or what. I don't know. I don't know what I'm not locked in on any of these matches saying, oh my God, let's see who's going to win and what they're going to do with the booking and how they're going to get this guy to beat this guy. And no, it's just like, yeah, we're just waiting for whatever the interference of the story is going to be for a lot of these. So
I wish they'd keep the match to 7 minutes in that case instead of like 18.
Yeah.
But they never do that. They don't do that. Just give me a good, hard-working 7, then do your angle.
Mm-hmm.
Don't keep me there for 18.
Yeah, I don't need 18 and then an angle and then a run-in. But
I mean, I could picture this match in my head, and I'm sure it's going to be fine, and maybe the crowd will be hot for it. It's going to be a good crowd. They're going to have 10,000 people there. They draw for their pay-per-views. I think it's already up over 9,000. So
yeah, I think it'll
over
get to
10,000 people in the building. But it's like, I'm just going to be eyes glazed over. Like, I don't give a fuck about any of these teams. And I don't give a fuck who comes out of this with the titles. Is it possible they take them off Private Party this quickly? And was their story just overcoming the Bucks? Or then does it just not do anything for them if they lose that quickly?
I would tend to think you need to have them have a little bit longer of a reign. But
I want you to tell me they're going to lose the titles.
But
there's
where the buck comes in. If I had the old pencil, I've told my story with those guys, and I'm ready to move on.
Yeah.
I said what I would have done. I even said this on their Discord, and I don't remember if I said it on the show, but what I would have done is have them beat the Bucks and the very next week lose to whoever. You know what I mean? Their story's done. Their story is beating the Bucks. I don't care about See, I'm not worried about making sure I make the most out of Private Party. You see what I'm saying?
Believe me, I couldn't agree more. But
Right.
they think there's something there. Like the company thinks there's something there. I don't know what they think is there, but they think that there's something there. So I guess from that standpoint, they shouldn't lose, right?
Probably not, but it's a good way. If you wanted them to you want to get the titles off of them, the 4-way is a great way to do it, because Brody King could just pin Turbo Floyd, and that's how,
or somebody steals a pin or something.
And then Party can say, we never lost those titles fair and square. We want a shot at the Kings of the Black Throne, and great, we get that. And also, hey,
maybe Outrunners are the play so that we can do the FTR turn and straighten this division back out, right?
Can you have those guys win the titles?
Listen, I would never have those guys win the titles. I think that they're already flirting with pushing them too hard.
They're a little too pushed already. They're a little too pushed
But,
already. Yeah.
You know, they're a fun prelim act, and sometimes that's all somebody is.
You know what? You can sell me on
fine.
they steal a pinfall. Like Brody King does one of his fucking cool kick or whatever to Max Caster or whatever, and then Truth Magnum runs in and throws Brody King off and gets the pin or whatever, and the Outrunners win that way. You know what I mean? Like, I could, and then FTR comes out and goes, no.
FTR comes out to raise their hands, right?
Then,
no, they celebrate with him, but then they attack
the
him.
fuck out of him, yeah, and says, no.
And it's got to be bloody.
Yeah.
You got to bloody those guys up because that'll get good heat because people like them.
Right. And then FTR Bald can say we're here to restore the feeling again, and everybody can go, yeah, restore the feeling. And then a multitude of other bullshit happens and the feeling is not restored. So
I think it's time to stop having the wrestlers say that they're going to restore the feeling.
I agree. Right.
You're just reminding everyone that there used to be a feeling. It
yes.
might be time to stop that.
Yeah. Now that you've not had a feeling for like 2 years now, it might be time to stop reminding people of the feeling.
They had Will do it. They had Garcia do it. They have a heel world champion basically doing it in his own weird way, right? That's the whole basis of his storyline. Enough of telling the people that are still watching that this place sucks now. It might be time to put that one away.
I think that's a good plan. I like where your head's at there. So, all right, that is the tag match. Here's my number one most anticipated match of the night: Will Ospreay versus Kyle Fletcher. I think this has been the best build of Full Gear. It's pretty simple. It's pretty basic, and I think that's fine. You know what I mean? I think AEW, we always say this. A lot of people want AEW to tell more stories, and AEW doesn't tell enough stories. You and I have been on record for years saying AEW tells too many stories. And I think Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher, they haven't told too many stories. And I'm fine with that. Kyle Fletcher turned on this guy because Kyle Fletcher thought he was going to get a better opportunity with Don Callis as opposed to following Will Ospreay's lead. And now he's going to prove that he isn't in Will Ospreay's shadow. And Will Ospreay is going to prove, hey, buddy, you're not where I'm at right now, and you got to prove yourself to me before you can say you're out of my shadow. Great. I'm into it.
It's good shit, pal.
That's it. That's the essence right there. And you know what I would do? I want Kyle Fletcher winning this match. Now, it sucks because I don't really want Ospreay to taking a whole lot of more losses, and I think Will Ospreay hasn't been pushed nearly as much as they probably should push him, but I think you have to have Kyle Fletcher beat him here, right?
I think that now that I was super into the Mox thing, but that's kind of cooled off for a variety of reasons.
I'd say.
This is now the best story in the company to me. This or the Hurt Business stuff. Take your pick. Because of what you said, the simplicity of it, it all makes sense. The motivations are clear. Will Ospreay has turned into a top-tier promo. Effort is never an issue with him. And this feels like it's on the path to a successful elevation of Kyle Fletcher. So this is all working. And the one issue is, Fletcher, I guess in theory, should win. But I don't think losing hurts him because the story can still be he took the wrong path and he was wrong and he's not better than Will yet, right? Can't that be the story?
Of course.
So I don't think he has to win. Here's the problem. Will Ospreay is probably lobbying that Kyle Fletcher should win.
Yes.
And Will Ospreay is the kind of guy where you really have to save him from himself. He'll lose every match if you let him. And I want to ask you a hard question. We talked about they missed the window on Orange Cassidy, and I don't feel like they're ever getting that back. They had one shot and they missed it. Did they miss the window on Will Ospreay? It's a serious question. There was a time where he felt super hot and that the fans wanted him to be the guy, but it coincided with the middle of Swerve's push. Okay. And they weren't going to switch gears and they stuck with Swerve, and it worked from the standpoint of Swerve feels like a top guy now. It cannot be in dispute. From that standpoint, they successfully elevated Swerve from a vibes standpoint. No one can argue that. He still doesn't draw money. Almost no one in the company does, but they did successfully elevate him from that standpoint. But it meant they had to push the pause button on Ospreay, who does not feel as hot as he previously felt. Is it possible that because of all of that, they missed the window? Did they fail striking when the iron was hot? Sometimes in wrestling, you have to pivot.
Yeah.
And they didn't.
I think he's a guy that I don't think the door's closed on him. I think there's an opportunity to still light up Will Ospreay if you need. Now, they may have. I'm not going to say they didn't. I'm not going to say, no, Joe. That's ridiculous. There's no way. They may have. They may never get him as hot as he was when he first came in. They might not get him as hot as he was those weeks and those months after he first came in, where he'd come out and the crowd would just lose their mind. And then everybody found out that this guy can fucking promo. Not only is he doing great work, but he can also promo. They may have missed that window. I still do think with Will, you can heat him up and get him back to that level. I still do. I think it's going to be a lot harder now, and it's going to take a lot of work to get him there, whereas he kind of came ready-made before. But I get it. They were in a conundrum. They had the Swerve thing, and then, of course, you had the Danielson thing. Because that may have been your pivot right there, is say, all right, well, if we're going to have Swerve lose, we want it to be Danielson, and we want to tell the story with Danielson, but maybe Will Ospreay in front of, X thousand people in Wembley winning that title, maybe that should have been the play. Maybe that's what we should have done instead. And I don't know. I think you can get him hot again. I don't know that you can ever get him that hot again, if it makes sense.
I don't think this is a promotion that is in a position to turn down when wrestlers get hot. And the counterpoint to that would be the money's guaranteed.
Yeah.
So I don't know. I mean, I feel like they definitely missed the window with him. I think that his talent is so undeniable, and he's charismatic enough and a good enough promo to where I agree that you could possibly crack that window back open. But I would suggest in the future, in the position they're in, where they can't sell a ticket. And I understand the money's guaranteed, and they're good. But man, if someone catches fire like that again, you got to tear up your plans, man. That's the position they're in. This isn't, like the position WWE's in, where they could stifle something if they're not ready for it because they're making money hand over fist and they could just tell things their way. They're in a position where they need something to start clicking and getting hot. So I'm just saying, the next Will Ospreay that comes down the pike, maybe, I don't know, pivot a little.
Right. Yeah, don't be so rigid in your things, but
yeah.
No, I think this will be, and ultimately the worry with this match, again, we talk about storylines and all that sort of stuff, is that the match you're not going to care about anything happening in the match until Don Callis comes. Now, maybe he'll be ringside the whole time to kind of alleviate that, but then you're like,
commentary or something.
He'll probably do commentary, but then you're going to wait for when is he going to stand up? When is he going to go to the apron and give Kyle Fletcher a screwdriver? Nothing in the match is going to matter until Don Callis stands up and gives Kyle Fletcher a screwdriver, right? I think so that's going to put a limit on what this match can be, which sucks because if you just put Will Ospreay and Kyle Fletcher out there and have a match where Kyle Fletcher's trying to prove that he is out of Will Ospreay's shadow and Will Ospreay is trying to prove that Kyle Fletcher is not out of his shadow, that alone is fine. I'm okay with that. 25 minutes where these guys go balls to the wall and whoever wins, you respect Kyle Fletcher because he hung with Will, or now he's a made man because he beat Will, or whatever you want to do. Whatever story you want to do, that works so much better for me than a bunch of shit's going to happen for 15 minutes and 16 minutes and 17 minutes. And then Don Callis is going to stand up and he's going to go to the apron and hand Kyle Fletcher a screwdriver. And now the whole match is about what does Kyle Fletcher do with the screwdriver?
Right.
And it sucks. And that sucks. And that takes away a lot from what I think could be a tremendous match. With that said, it's still my most anticipated match of the entire night.
I think there's a great story that could be told without any of that.
Of course.
That gets across. I mean, if the story is Kyle Fletcher is feeling himself a little too much and he isn't ready to be on Will Ospreay's level, then Will should just beat him clean. And if the story is Kyle Fletcher has to take a shortcut to beat Will Ospreay, it doesn't have to be with Don Callis and a screwdriver. It could be with something more creative, that doesn't involve any of that. Or if it's just Kyle Fletcher's going to beat Will Ospreay, then show some guts and have him beat him. I don't think that would be my last choice. The way they've told the story is Kyle Fletcher shouldn't be beating Will Ospreay yet. Because if Fletcher just beats him, it's like, oh, all right, well, he was right. Now what do we do?
Yeah, I see that for sure. Because, then he's just kind of right, yeah.
Then Will just comes out and went, "Oh, you were right, bruv. You're better than me, bruv." You know, that doesn't work. So he has to cheat or he has to lose. Those are your two options. So, yeah, but I can see why it would take the wind out of the potential of the match, where by this point in the show, we might be dying to see a great match.
Yeah.
If everything else is gimmicked up.
We talked about Konosuke Takeshita and Ricochet, so that was obviously announced an hour or so ago. But there you go for AEW International title. I assume Takeshita retains the title there, but should be a hell of a match there.
Ricochet's undefeated. And they're pushing that on TV.
Mm-hmm. That's true.
And he's talking a lot of shit about how he can carry a company and this and that. I don't think it's impossible that he wins. You can't do a Don Callis finish in both of those matches.
You sure can. Are you sure you can't? Are you sure? Are you sure you can't?
Are you Tim Robinson?
I bet you can. You sure about that?
Sure about that?
You sure about that?
Yeah.
Are you?
Basketball.
You sure? I think they can. But anyway, Bob, let's go to Bobby Lashley and Swerve Strickland. So now, what do you think of Lashley's, I guess this is his in-ring debut, right? Yeah, in-ring debut on Dynamite.
Yeah, I like squashing the two geeks, but I mean, I didn't love the last 2 weeks where Swerve gets outsmarted like a dope. You know, with Shelton attacking him from behind when he didn't come out with the other two, like with the tight camera shots, setting it up and everything. Just come on. And then this week he got the revenge, right? Like he attacked from behind.
I guess.
It's time for
it was another
match.
car angle. It was another car angle. I just realized they get out of a car, then Swerve comes and goes, ah!
Yeah.
He beats him up and then he runs away.
Attacks.
And I'm like, all right, cool.
It's time for the match. I'll just put it that
yes,
way.
We're there.
We're out of angles here.
We're
out of angles. We were out of angles a week ago. It's time for the match. So now we do the match and now we see what they do. And we see if this feud must continue and if there's going to be layers and if Lio Rush joins the fray. There's a lot going on. I'm into it. You know, the week prior, Lio Rush was still lurking around ringside when everything was happening. Did you notice that?
I did.
Like, staring at everything. And and he's got the history with Bobby Lashley, which they acknowledged on screen. You know, you have Max Castor and everybody else that MVP is fucking around with. So, I don't know. I'm into it. I want to see where it all goes. But again, you're right. Another match that could end in an angle.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. AEW TBS title, Mercedes Moné defending against Chris Statlander. Continue our theme here. Are you going to buy any finish until Camille gets on the apron and does something? Mercedes screams at Camille, says, get on the apron, do this, hold this chair, do this sort of thing. And then, Chris Statlander reverses it.
Fires. Yeah.
Moné gets hit by the chair, bumps into Camille.
Yep.
I think Moné and Statlander could have a hell of a match. I think. I hope. I'm
not confident. I'm not confident in Mercedes delivering anymore.
That's fair.
I don't know. Let's face it. I talked about this behind the paywall. She's just a mid-carder now. She has no aura. She doesn't mean a thing. And they did that. So, if I was the boss, I'd go up to that personal writer and I'd say, why does this person that I'm paying millions of dollars have no aura, star power, or drawing ability anymore?
Right.
We brought you in here to present this person in a money-drawing fashion and it isn't working. You tell me why. Because you're being paid too.
Right. She came into the company selling a building out, or not selling a building out, but having a big time, that big business.
Big time draw. One of the biggest dynamites of the year.
Yeah, big business did big business. And now we're, 6, 7.
And she had real star aura.
Mm-hmm.
Right. And now here we are. She's a mid-carder that means nothing. I would want answers. Do we hold anyone accountable in that company? I don't know the answer to that. Maybe Tony is a fucking lunatic behind the scenes and he is cracking whips. I don't get that sense. Wouldn't you want answers? You got your own personal writer. I'd want to know why this isn't working and why this person feels like less of a star every week.
Yeah. Or what do I need to do to ensure that Mercedes, if you want to turn around and say, what do we have to do? What do you think we should do? We got your own personal writer. We got you this thing. We got all this sort of stuff. What do we need to do now to harness and maximize your star power? Because we're 6-7 months into your debut and you are now just a person on the roster that feels like nothing different.
It's going back to Moneyball. Okay, then why aren't we winning? Right. Yeah. You're the best women's wrestler in America. You got your personal writer. No, everything's going great. All right, well, why aren't we winning? These questions need to be asked. So she means nothing. And this is just a little mid-card story with the Camille subplot. We're speed rushing that breakup. We talked about it earlier.
Yep, Statlander became a babyface just because. So it's hard to. It's they've tried to get it back on track a little bit, and Statlander is she's going out there and winning matches and stuff. So it's okay, but you're not as invested in it because Statlander just one day woke up and said, "I'm a face now." You know what I mean? So it just decided that okay, you're a face now, and you're not with Stoke. Okay, great. And it's just I think you're a little lost from there, and you're a little lost because the Camille thing I think isn't really working for a lot of people because there's no buy-in. There's no buy-in in terms of why I should care about these two people, and Mercedes hasn't delivered in ring. So I guess that's the worry is, all right, can these two come out and just go out there and tear the house down? I don't know. I think they could, but to your point, I'm not confident in it. I wouldn't bet in it.
I'm not. Here's why. Using cage match as a guide. Because why not? What other better resource would there be for something like this to make a basic point? What do you think Monet's best AEW match is, and where do you think it ranks in her career?
I would say the best match that she has had in AEW is probably... I like the Willow match, but I think the Stephanie Vakir match is probably my number one.
Okay. Those are the top two. The Willow match is number one.
Okay.
It's the 22nd best match of her career.
Yeah.
And it's an 8 flat. So according to the inmates, she's got one notebook match in this entire run. The Vakir match is the 37th best match of her career, and it's at a 7.6. No, sorry, 7.55. Large sample sizes, too. Almost 700 votes for the Willow match and almost 600 votes for the Vakir match, and she doesn't have anything else that's over. She got one other match that's over a 7. One. She's got 3 matches 7 or better in this entire AEW run.
Yeah,
and I can't disagree with that either because I can't think of
what's your beef with any of those? Which one do you think needs to be up there that's not up there?
I mean, when that nothing Emi Sakura TV match is the 5th best match she's had in the company. I mean, that's saying something. That was a nothing match. So, no. If you ask me if I was confident they're going to have a great match, no, absolutely not. No. Chris Statlander is not Lioness Asuka herself. So, no, I am not confident they're going to have a great match.
That's fair.
Can they have a great match? Yes.
Yeah, can they and will they is a bit different here. Adam Page and Jay White. I actually like the build to this too because again, it's been kind of simple and we haven't had a bunch of. They've been kind of out of sight, out of mind. It seems like with a lot of the most recent Dynamites and the other Dynamites have been so convoluted with all these other stories that Adam Page and Jay White comes in kind of simple. It's just one guy wants to prove it's classic stuff. This is a classic AEW angle here where it's just two guys that are going to go out there and prove one is better than the other. It's fine, works for me. That's all I need.
Yes.
I don't know what other strong thoughts you have on this one, but it's kind of just I'm looking forward to it. I think it'll be good. I think it'll be really good. Has a chance to be match of the night, I think, because it also feels like the match that's most devoid of potential bullshit.
I think I hate what they're doing with Hangman now.
Oh, you're out? You're on the Hangman?
It's too cartoonish now for me. He's become a caricature. So he makes these weird faces and
the faces did get over, and now he's the guy who makes weird faces.
He used to be like this self-righteous heel where you could see his point, right? He's not that anymore. Now he's 100% delusional heel. Crazy guy. Jay White just turned out of the blue. He's another one who just had an unearned turn at some point. Bang Bang Gang was all of a sudden baby faces, right? When did that happen? How did that happen? It's a weird one. I mean, Hangman's going to win, I think, because the story is that Jay White always beats him, regardless of the company or whatever else. So, I don't know, but Hangman, like a lot of other people right now, is just a caricature. And I that's like the worst thing for me. For my
I get that. I'm not quite there yet. I'm not quite there yet, but I get what you're saying. If that makes sense.
Yeah, I don't like over the top goofiness. You know me. Everyone knows me by now. You could see why Hangman has like crossed the line for me, though. I think with the way he's being presented, I thought he was really interesting during the Swerve feud, and I like that kind of shades of gray where it's like this guy's a heel and he's handling this wrong, but you know what? He's right. He's not handling this properly, but he's right. I like that. I like those conflicting emotions that you create with the fan, right? But now he's just a crazy delusional heel that you can't be behind in any form or fashion. So is the leg injury going to play a part in this? They kind of drift in and out of that part of it. So it's a Jay White match. I think they're probably going to bring the leg injury back, and we're going to get 25 minutes. Jay White, that's how he works, and sometimes it lands and sometimes it doesn't. But you can never say that Jay White isn't trying to inject an overdose of psychology into his matches. Is that fair?
Oh, absolutely. No. He's a thinking's man wrestler. Sometimes he thinks too much. He overthinks it. Yeah, he overthinks it a lot of times too.
For sure. And that's when he bores you to tears. But they're gonna have a plan. They're not gonna go out there and fucking do moves. I mean, so can I tell you I'm jacked up about it though? No, honestly, I forgot they were having this match. If I'm being honest,
that's fair. Yeah, I have pretty high hopes for it. And then the main event, I don't know that I have much high hopes for Jon Moxley and Orange Cassidy. I think they, which is wild because a year ago they had one of my favorite matches of the year at All Out, but I'm very out on the Death Riders thing. I know that you are mostly out. I would say you're more out than you were a couple weeks ago. I'm very out because they're just a heel unit. You know what I mean? The aura of danger and the aura of these guys can come from anywhere and do anything that they were presented as possibly being. We lost that like very quickly, and they just became a heel unit that shows up once a show. All right, we got our segment. We'll come out. We come out to our little music. We got a little video. They gave us a video and some music. Okay, we're still going to come through the crowd, though, because we're real edgy. We come through the crowd. But we get music, and we get a video, and then we come out, and we do our one little heel thing, and then we go away. And that's it. And so it's like we went from this NWO thing where if you want to do it, you got to do it. And, hey, you know what? Credit to WCW in 1996. That is the template right there. If people weren't alive during that time, if people weren't, watching at that time, go look at those first couple of Nitros. There was an aura and a sense, and really the first couple months of the NWO was this black cloud that hung over everything that happened in WCW. Maybe to a detriment, but it worked and it was effective because you didn't know when these guys were coming out, what they were doing, why they were here, why they were allowed to be here. And they just kind of overran everybody. They would come out of the crowd. They would buy tickets. They would buy television time. They would do whatever. And they would always just kind of come out and they'd beat people up and do these sort of things and take the television show off the rails. And it worked. It was effective. They did this for a week with the Death Riders. And now they're just a heel unit. They're no different than the Elite. They're no different than the Devil group or whatever the fuck, the undisputed, untitled kingdom, whatever the fuck. You know what I mean? They're just another heel unit. They come out for their one segment every single week, and they sometimes do bad things, and then they leave, and that's it.
Who have they attacked or beaten up completely unprovoked and not programmed with? Just JD Drake.
JD Drake.
Everyone else, there was a purpose. Maybe you could argue Brandon Cutler when the Elite left him behind, right?
Yeah, because Cutler was there, and they were just like, well, you're here, so we're going to beat the fuck out of you right now.
Right. He's the only other one. So Brandon Cutler and JD Drake, you cannot get lower than those two without being a local jobber that doesn't have a contract. They're quite literally the bottom of the roster in terms of hierarchy.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So the problem with this isn't Mox. I think Claudio's been great. It's not Wheeler, who's doing a decent job getting over. Is he being gaslit? Is he conflicted? I think they're doing a good job with that little subplot, right? Because that's, in our minds, we're not sure kind of like where he's at. Marina Shafir, because she never speaks, I think she's a great ad.
Perfect. Yeah.
And
we don't know why she's even here. She's just like there, and that's people are like, I don't understand why she's there. I don't care. I like it. I like the idea that it's just like one day Mox said, "You're with me. Let's go."
Yeah, you're with me, Leather, and that was it.
Mm-hmm.
And she's a badass, and she beats people up, and she doesn't talk, and she just makes mean faces. And you know what? One day, some woman is gonna fuck her up and get a big pop. So I like the Marina Shafir ad, if nothing else for that, right? She's just a heavy. And the problem with this is none of them. The problem with this is Orange Cassidy has proven to be a bad foil. He doesn't work. Think how much better this would be with Mark Briscoe. Think how much better this would be with Daniel Garcia. Right? I'm sure you can imagine it'd be way better with either of those guys. And maybe you could think of a few others. The other problem with this is, like you said, they don't do what they're advertised to do. John Moxley takes over the Superstation. He came out at the top of the hour.
What was that?
He came out at the top of the hour like he always does. They didn't take over anything. They didn't ransack the show and take over. It was the same shit they do every week.
Moxley cut a promo. That was seizing They beat up JD Drake before his match, which we're supposed to buy that JD Drake was sitting in Gorilla ready for his match on Dynamite. Fuck off. And then, so they seized the Superstation. They
advertised anything with him.
Of course they didn't.
At least advertise JD Drake versus
It's not
someone.
hard. Say JD Drake is going to face this guy, and then they beat him up, and then they seize the show. Yeah, right.
Yeah.
But they just say, oh, that's JD Drake. He was going to wrestle later tonight. Was he?
Really? News to us.
Right.
And that's what makes it feel so. These are the little things.
Mm-hmm.
The little lack of attention to detail that makes the show feel inorganic. And you have Excalibur out there last night saying, oh, it's about control of AEW. How? I have never got the sense that Death Riders control the company. Not one time. How are they different than Blackpool Combat Club? Because they broke Chuck Taylor's neck? I mean, okay. They're not controlling anything. He's not booking his own matches. He doesn't have some kind of power over Tony Khan, or they're not doing anything like that. I'm glad they're not, to be honest.
Thank God. Yes.
But they're not ransacking the company on a weekly basis, and you don't ever have this feeling of out of control danger that hangs over the show.
They kind of did it in one episode. They kind of did it in that one episode, and I think that was effective. That was the one where the Elite were just like, fuck this, we're out of here, and they just bounced.
Yes.
That was a good episode, and they have since then they've become just another heel unit, and that annoys me. That annoys me because there's so much potential here for this. There's so much good that can come from an angle like this, and there's a lot of things you can do in an angle like this, and they just chose to very quickly make them just another group on the roster, and that sucks. We didn't need another heel group. We needed something that was truly different and unique. And it started off being truly different and unique and special. And now it's just nothing. And then, like you said, on the flip side, Orange is not carrying his load whatsoever. Joe, pop quiz here. When was the last time JD Drake wrestled on Dynamite?
On Dynamite?
On Dynamite. Because we were told that JD Drake was getting ready for his match on Dynamite when the Death Riders attacked him, correct?
Correct.
Okay.
He has worked the weekend shows because they're doing the story with Beef and all that. But Dynamite proper, man, by the way you're setting this up, it has to have been years.
You want to throw out you could throw out a month, a year, whatever you want.
Well, he was hurt for a while. How about 2 years?
June 2022 was the last time JD Drake wrestled on Dynamite. He faced Wardlow and he lost in 1 minute and 11 seconds.
So 2.5 years ago.
Yep. But we are to believe that JD Drake was sitting in Gorilla ready for his unannounced match. Again, attention to detail. Just announce a match. Or
you know what's funny? That's while they were doing the JD Drake beef storyline. You could have announced JD Drake and beef versus Angelico and Serpentico. Anything. You could have announced that earlier in the day on TikTok or whatever, just to add a little bit of something to it. You could have done that.
Sloppy shop. 39 people and continuity editors and all this stuff, and we can't, then whatever. So, all right. Orange Cassidy's not winning this match, right? It's a mortal lock that Moxley's
No, in fact,
retaining.
I've been checking over and over to see if I can bet on it, and you cannot, in fact, bet on it.
It's just off the board. It's off the table.
They don't. Well, they don't. The whole show. The place where I bet no longer offers AEW shows.
Oh man.
Let me take a look and see if they maybe sometimes they add it late in the game. Here we go.
All right, what do we got?
Fresh segment for the show.
For entertainment purposes only. Entertainment purposes only.
Absolutely. Hypothetical units. We do have odds for everything with the exception of Ricochet versus Takeshita, which is understandable.
Yep.
John Moxley is minus 5,000 against Orange Cassidy.
So if I put $1 on Orange Cassidy, though, I'm doing well, right?
Let me see what the max bet would be.
What can I put on Orange Cassidy?
Well,
I'm throwing away that money, but what if Moxley? Moxley has gotten injured. Hold on, Moxley did get injured in a match and changed the finish.
That's right.
That has happened.
Could you imagine? I put $500 in there, and that $500 wager would net me a $10 payoff if Moxley were to.
Okay, so I don't think that's a good idea.
Obviously, holy shit! The max bet is $1,237.50. That's to win $25. No one in their right mind is doing that. Orange Cassidy.
I got to scoot out for 1 second. I'll be right back.
All right. Orange Cassidy, as I assume I'm still on the air, and if at some point someone in the chat can confirm that with Rich's absence I'm still on the air, I'll go through these other odds. Orange Cassidy is plus 1,200, but the max bet is 24.75. So I don't know why anybody would bet on Orange Cassidy, but you can make a decent profit on that, even though you can only bet the 24.75 plus 1,200. Those are some good odds, but he has no chance. Private Party is minus 5,000. Same odds as Mox. Here's where I think you can get cute and throw a couple units on one of the other teams. Outrunners are plus 900. House of Black is plus 1,100. And the Acclaimed is plus 1,000. I got to tell you, I think some hypothetical units can be thrown on pretty much all of these teams. The max bet is 24.75 on all of these other teams. This might be one I wager. I might throw $25 on the Outrunners at those odds. I would not think Private Party are that. They're clearly the favorites. Are they that strong of favorites?
All right, I woke the nurse up to find out how much she has in her savings. What's the max we could put on OC?
So I moved on to the four-way tag. Orange Cassidy is plus 1,200. The max bet is $24.75. $24.75.
Oh, okay. We have that in our savings. We're good then. Okay.
Check this out. Private Party is minus 5,000, same as Mox.
Ooh.
So you can get plus 900 on the Outrunners with a 24.75 max bet, but that pays off almost $225.
Yeah, we booked a way to do that.
I might bet that.
That's not a bad bet. I don't think.
Rich, it's $25. Who cares?
Yeah, right.
The payoff is $225.
No, hypothetically. Units, hypothetically. Allegedly.
Hypothetical units, yes. So that's one to keep an eye on. Lashley is minus 500. Swerve is plus 300. I think I
would agree with that, but I would maybe throw a couple bones on Swerve.
Couple bucks on the underdog?
Yeah, why not?
Bucks on the underdog?
Yeah.
Hangman is minus 250. Jay White is plus 170. I think Hangman would be, I don't think he's losing.
No,
the story's
I
been
wouldn't
so
do that
heavy-handed. The max bet is $61.88. I don't know how they come up with these figures, but I'm having problems with my keyboard. That pays off about $25 if you bet on the Hangman. MJF is minus 5,000 against Roderick Strong.
I'm not doing that
plus
one.
1,200.
I'm not throwing bones on Roddy.
Osprey's minus 400. Fletcher's plus 250. Money's minus 1,000. Stat is plus 500, and the same exact odds for Daniel Garcia over Jack Perry.
You know, that Statlander one, I don't hate that.
The plus 500, yeah.
I might throw, because you could have a Camille thing, and maybe you want to move that title off Money. Like, that's
worth a couple bucks.
Worth a couple
She is
bones.
also maxed out. She's maxed out at $24.75 as well. My keyboard's giving me a lot of problems. I got to get a laptop. This laptop. Okay, you're gonna be like, Joe, why are you living like this? So
you have an external keyboard plugged into your laptop, don't you?
No, it's worse.
Oh,
my keyboard is just a disaster. Half the keys don't work anymore. So what I'm doing is I have one of those laptops that flips into a tablet. So anytime I want to type, I flip it into a tablet. Use the on-screen keyboard. I've been typing up like articles on screen keyboard.
God, yeah, please.
It's I don't know why I'm living like this. So anyway, you get the idea with some of these odds. But I think Statlander's a good play at plus 500. I think all of the teams in the four-way are a good play at around plus 1,000. I mean, I might play the Outrunners. I have a good feeling about that one. And I'm not going to be upset about $24.75. Yeah, I don't know. I'm glad they're offering this, though. I would love to bet Mox. It's just impossible. I mean, there's no point at minus 5,000.
Yeah, you're just basically investing money to win nothing. Yeah.
I mean, if you bet the max bet still only pays off $24.
Right.
You're not going to risk $1,200 to win $24.
That's bad. That's bad investment. It's bad risk. Yeah, I don't know.
Right.
There's a couple intriguing things in there. I'll be curious if those hold steady over the weekend, but I'll definitely be looking at that.
All right, I just tried to bet the $1,237 on Moxley, and apparently I have a lower max bet because of all the money I've taken from them on AEW pay-per-views. They're not taking that bet.
No.
I wasn't going to put it through, but they're not even giving me – they're stopping me early. They're like, please reduce bet amount to place bet. So I can't even place the max bet on Moxley, apparently. Like I did when he wrestled Kojima that time.
Right, they're on your ass. Yeah, they're onto you.
Which is why I have all that money in my account to begin with to bet on this time.
Wasn't he the underdog in that match?
No.
Oh, but he wasn't as heavy of he was a favorite, but like it was like minus 100 or something like that, right?
No, I don't remember exactly what it was, but he wasn't minus 5,000, and I just put like fucking everything on it.
Your life savings on it.
Whatever I had in there, I didn't deposit anything extra, but it was a fruitful payoff. I won a couple other that night too, though. But yeah. So anyway, those are the. I can't believe Private Party has the same odds as Moxley.
Yeah, Moxley is a mortal lock. I do not think Private Party is a mortal lock at all. So that's an interesting one for sure. So, hey, if that site sponsored us, we would be able to plug a little promo code here, but they didn't. So screw them. What we can plug though is Instant Reaction Live immediately following this AEW Full Gear show. We'll be up a couple minutes after the show goes off the air. $10 tier, flagshippatreon.com. The best and most detailed and most thorough post-pay-per-view review show in the business. Guaranteed. AEW Full Gear, Instant Reaction Live. See you there Saturday night, immediately following the Full Gear show. So, all right. couple more things to do on this show, and then we will get out of here. Quickly, let's do this Dave Marquez situation. Then we'll go to Japan for the last bits of the show. A bit of a follow-up to last week's segment on Chicago's MLW show. You had the Lucha show that we talked about that I was there live. You watched on YouTube, but you did not watch live on Saturday on YouTube because it did not stream, and instead they showed it live to tape-ish on Sunday. So word came out during the week, I believe it was in the Observer, that MLW head of production David Marquez, now he's a very famous name in the world of wrestling, Championship Wrestling from Hollywood. The guy's been involved in some form or fashion in the wrestling business for what feels like decades at this point. I don't even know what he did before Championship Wrestling from Hollywood, but I know he was involved in a lot of other stuff. He was doing some stuff at TNA at one point too. I forget all the details of Dave Marquez. But anyway, he was the MLW head of production, just recently hired at that post. And apparently the end result of all the issues that happened on Saturday was that he was splitting with MLW, and everybody could, safely assume that all the issues with the streaming is what caused this split. So in a subscriber exclusive update on WrestlingObserver.com, Dave Meltzer let Marquez give his side of the story, and that's available right now at WrestlingObserver.com if you want. In the update, Marquez brings up all of the little things that went wrong throughout the day, wireless communications going down, issues with the transmitters, and having to reset stuff, and it taking 15 minutes to get back online, and yada, 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 all this stuff. Apparently, he teased that so there was supposed to be some light effect involved with the what the fuck, not the Type A death match. What the hell was the weapons of mass destruction match? Because remember how I said they opened up the crate and then nothing happened? Well, apparently something was supposed to happen, but that didn't work. And so there was a multitude of production issues that happened. So if you're into TV production and live event production, it may interest you to read all of David Marquez's things that he says went wrong and how he handled them. But for most people reading or listening to this, you're not going to care. In essence, though, I picked out two quotes that I think are interesting to talk about. Quote, this is from Marquez telling Dave Meltzer, quote, "I guess in the end, when it came down to all those small things, they added up, and since I was the person in charge of that department, management felt I needed to be replaced. I have no ill will towards Court Bauer or anyone else on his staff and accept his decision." He admits he got fired. He admits he got fired, yes.
Yeah. Over that, because of this.
Right. And I will say, he says, in the end, when it came down to all those small things, I am going to tell you that the list of small things was pretty large. It was a large
pretty
list.
Extensive list.
It was many paragraphs where he's like, and then this went down, and then that went down, and then this happened, and then that happened, and then this happened, and then this happened, and then this, and then this, and then this. And I guess if it comes down to all those small things, they add up. And I'm like, well, yeah, kind of. They did kind of add up. There was a lot of things. And the ultimate thing was the big show that they, advertised on YouTube didn't make air. It didn't air. And so that's a big deal. And that I get it. I understand then, why they did it. Now, I will say he finished this piece by bringing up a direct comparison to the Netflix fight with Jake Paul and Mike Tyson, where he says, I love this. This is great. This man's a worker. I love it. Quote, "No matter the production budget, from a few $1,000s to millions of dollars, there will be production mishaps. For example, the Netflix Jake Paul, Mike Tyson special event. They had their fair share of audio problems, talents, IFB and communication failures, wrong graphics, and pre-recorded packages airing out of order, plus a few other small things." So he's like, look, Lucha Apocalyptico did not go great. But hey, Netflix didn't go great either. So it's
yeah.
Who are we to point fingers? Who are we to play the blame game? So I love it.
Well, I mean, there was a couple hundred people trying to watch MLW. Wasn't there a story that he convinced Court Bauer to buy like a
transmitter? Yeah, he got a truck. They got a whole truck. So before, what was happening, the production company before Marquez, I think their name is GoPro Productions or something like that, they were just kind of renting out towers or just renting out satellites and stuff. And I guess Dave Marquez told them that they should get a full-on truck, like get a production truck. And that did not end up going well at all and was a complete disaster. And the shows that were airing, live without much problem, they invested a ton of money in this truck, and now nothing's working. So you could see why they would get annoyed.
He convinced them to buy this top-of-the-line production truck. The way I read it was on the par with WWE and AEW's production trucks.
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
And they spent the money, and then this was the first show with the new production, and it didn't work.
I believe. I don't know if it's the first show or they had a couple other ones, but they've had some issues streaming in the last bit of the last couple weeks and months. So I don't know if They were good for years. I mean, you knew that when MLW was live, like, yeah, they were there. They always were there, and it always looked good and it sounded good and all that sort of stuff. But yeah, I don't know if this was the first show with the new truck, but certainly one of the shows, one of the very recent shows with the trucks, but not great.
Yeah, sounds like they're annoyed they spent all this money on this production truck when everything was fine before the truck, and they were paying this guy, and then the show doesn't air.
Mm-hmm.
So, what a mess. And not what you were told in the building. It's a YouTube issue. Is what you were told.
Correct.
So, clearly was not a YouTube issue.
No.
No.
Dave Marquez says it was, this got unplugged, this transmitter happened, this happened. But yeah, did not say that it was a YouTube issue.
Well, nevertheless.
The world of MLW does not stop. Is Eric Bischoff's one shot? It did stop that
Dave
night.
Marquez was fired because it literally
It did
stopped.
stop. Okay. All right. So one time it did stop. But
if
like,
you stop the world of MLW, you will no longer work at MLW.
So there you go. There it is. If you stop it, you're done. And guess what?
Right.
The Netflix boxing thing had some issues too. So like, again, I 65 million, 600 tomato. I get it. It's fine. So
right.
Big time production in Texas Stadium or Dallas, the Cowboy Stadium.
Look, it just needs to work. I mean, this isn't.
It's 2024. We said shit's gonna stream. It should fucking stream.
It should stream. This isn't 2011 where Gabe could be like, "How's the stream?" when he knows damn well it's not working. Right. We're now 13 years on. These things just need to work. I just don't want. I can't even really be mad at court here. Like, I get it. It just needs to work.
Yeah.
It didn't work. You're gone.
I will say I didn't pick up on it. I should have picked on it that night. I saw Dave Marquez running around at the beginning of the show, and I did not see Dave Marquez running around after the show.
Yeah.
He seemed very stressed. I saw him at the beginning of the show. He seemed very stressed, and then I didn't see him after the show, and I just figured, he's had a long day. It turns out it was a very long day for Dave Marquez. But there you go. So that is the scoop on the Dave Marquez MLW
they tried
situation.
Turning everything off and turning it back on.
I think they did. Yes, they did. And what according to Marquez, the problem with that is it takes about 15 minutes for things to turn back on.
Wait, I was joking. They literally tried that.
I think so.
Okay.
Yeah. But it took too long to get back on.
That's always the first solution when you call the IT guy.
Yeah. And they always assume you didn't do that. And unfortunately, in a lot of cases, most people don't.
Well, the thing is, you always do that because you don't want to go, I didn't think of that, and then do it. So of course you do that first because you don't want to talk to the IT guy. Like, why would you not do that?
Look, I agree.
Are you the IT guy?
No, I'm not the IT guy at my work. But I end up being the de facto IT guy at my work because when I started there, I was the youngest guy, and I'm still, unfortunately, still one of the youngest guys. So they still rely on me to be the quote unquote IT. I'm old, man. You got to find someone younger than to figure out your computer problems for you. But no, I'm usually kind of the de facto. But we do have an IT person, but they're busy with a lot of other shit. So I sometimes become the de facto, or I do it also for the wife, the nurse, or whatever, and she'll be like, "This isn't working." And I was like, "Did you restart it?" And she's like, "No." And I'm like, "Well, try that." Oh, that's what everybody always says, and it I'd say about 60% of the time it fixes the problem.
Right. She takes the tact of, "Come on, that's not really going to fix it."
Right. No. What can I really do to fix it? I'm like, "Well, just try that. It'll take 2 seconds. Let's try that." And it works.
She wants to do let's skip that in the 8 minutes it's going to waste and get to the real problem. Right. That's her idea.
Exactly. Right. And I always say, well, let's just try the restart. And again, 60% of the time the restart does work.
Right. Because you're like, what? The restart's not going to hurt anything. Let's just try the restart.
Yeah. Save everything and let's give it a try.
Right.
It's not recognizing your mouse. Maybe just a restart. Maybe the restart will make it work. And yeah.
And she uses some spicy language towards you.
Yes.
Right.
But then it
definitely curses at you, right?
Oh, for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah. People think I swear a lot. Oh my God.
Oh God. You got to listen to her.
Yeah, I am nowhere close.
Yeah, she's pretty bad.
The toilet talk that comes out of that one, yeah. It's anyway. All right. Speaking of a man who I'm sure curses and apparently drinks people under the table is what we were said during his retirement show. Akitoshi Saito retired November 17th, 2024, Dolphins Arena in Nagoya. Noah Akitoshi Saito retirement show, Destiny. And that was the name of the show, was Destiny. And they explained it.
Yes.
Stu Fulton and Mark Pickering explained that it was a combination of death and destiny.
I hadn't worked that out.
I don't understand that. I'm glad they pointed that out because I was never going to understand what destiny meant. But yes,
right.
Destiny was the name of the show. And we'll go to that match first, and then we'll talk about the rest of the show. Naomichi Marufuji defeating Akitoshi Saito, 15 minutes, going out, staring at the lights, as you're supposed to do. Good little retirement speech at the end. I believe it was his family that was in there to give him flowers. At one point, Marufuji at the end of the match kind of like tipped a glass. It wasn't a real glass. He tipped like a hypothetical glass to Akitoshi Saito, and I love this. It was, I think it was Mark Pickering, or I forget who well, you would know. I think it was Mark Pickering who was like, "Yeah, we know that Naomichi Marufuji's a man who loves a good drink," and then Stu Fulton said, "Yeah, but Akitoshi Saito can drink them all under the table or whatever." And I was like, "All right, yeah, good for these guys, getting so." Old dudes.
Saito looks like a man who could drink.
Exactly. And I was like, yeah, I mean, that checks out. He looks like a guy who, you challenge him and he's like, "Fuck you, I'll drink, I ain't going
First,
anywhere."
he's going to show you that snake tattoo on his arm, and then he's going to drink you under the table.
Yeah, absolutely. Everyone's going to be
in that order.
Go home, getting carried out, thrown into a cab, and he's fine. He's good. He's a little tipsy, but he's mostly fine.
Yeah.
Big burp, and he's ready to go. Big burp, wakes up, big glass of water in the morning. He's ready to kick things off all over again. But so this is it for Akitoshi Saito in this match with Naomichi Marufuji. I thought it was a decent enough match. Like Saito's, he's bad at this point. He's 58 years old, I think they said, and he's debuted in 1990. So he's really, really old. But I thought he did as much as he could do here, and I thought it was an okay match. And what I liked about this is Marufuji, I thought, realized, okay, this is a big time moment, so I have to step up. I have to do the work here. Like Marufuji's gotten used to in recent years kind of being able to get carried by other people and saying, I don't really have to give 110% effort because, this guy and this guy and this guy can do it for me. He realized, I'm in here with Saito in his final match. I got to go out there and work my ass off. And I thought he did a really, really good job kind of keeping the match in a decent pace and doing a lot of work. And credit to Saito, too, for taking all the Marufuji chops, throwing some chops back at Marufuji. And, it wasn't any great shakes. It wasn't like a match of the year contender or anything that you have to go out of your way to watch. But I thought it was good, and I thought it was emotional, and I thought it was a good send-off for Akitoshi Saito. What did you think of the match?
He's been wrestling so long. I don't remember a time where he wasn't working on shows that I was watching. He's been wrestling so long, you forget that he didn't start in Noah or All Japan, like in that system. He came from outside of the All Japan / Noah lineage, and Mr. Danger Matsunaga was a guest there at the show.
They cut to the crowd, and I'm like, that guy looks a lot like Mr. Danger. I was like, that's kind of cool. And then Stu Fulton goes, Mr. Danger is here, and I was like, that's fucking Mr. Danger. He looks great. Mr. Danger looks really good for his age. They should have done a death match. That's what they should have done. A different style fight. They could have done a different style fight, or a death match. That would have rocked. Yeah.
Saito doesn't want to do that. Jeez.
No, I don't think so.
Yeah, of course, he was the one who accidentally killed Misawa and all that with the backdrop.
Yeah.
And, that was tough on him, and fans were tough on him. And, he had a long career since then. That was 2009, I guess, at this point. But, just a guy who I feel like I've been watching forever and, never really pushed very hard. We covered his 0-1 world title win, I guess, earlier this year, and that little run that he had in the feud with Go Shiozaki. I think Go Shiozaki still holds that title. And it's almost January, which means we're going to pay attention to 0-1 for a month again very soon.
Hell yeah, we are.
And hopefully Go can hold the title till
Go
then
is still the champion,
to give that a little juice. Yeah, I didn't think that he had lost it yet. But I enjoyed those Go Shiozaki matches for the ruggedness that they brought to the table, And in hindsight, it appears that was him getting a gold watch and allowing him to hold he had never held a singles title in his entire career. That's almost impossible for as long as he's been wrestling, that he has never held a singles title until he won that 0-1 world title earlier this year. So now we understand why. And yeah, I thought that this match was perfectly fine. It didn't overstay its welcome, and he didn't embarrass himself or anything like that. And it was a cleaner match than some of the matches he had in 0-1 earlier this year, for sure. Those matches were rough around the edges, but that's what made them interesting to me. So, yeah, say goodbye to Akitoshi Saito, who's been a fixture on these Japanese wrestling shows, particularly Noah, for as long as I've been following this stuff. So
yeah, people might not know that. Yeah, you mentioned a little bit at the beginning, and I just want to preface or dig into his cage match a little bit. People don't know. I mean, the guy's had nearly 3,000 matches in his career. They have him at 2,730. There's probably several more out there that we don't know. And he's not, like you said, he's not from the All Japan lineage. He's not one of those guys that was in All Japan and then they decided, fuck this, we're going to Noah, and he joined along. Like, he was FMW, Wing, New Japan. He had a long time run in New Japan Pro Wrestling for many, 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 many years. He was in New Japan Pro Wrestling and then moved over to to Noah, and that's kind of it's because did he ever do All Japan, or he skipped right over to Noah? I want to say he went right to Noah. Yeah, he did. Yeah, so he took 2 years off. If you remember, a year off, I should say. He faced Kaz Fujita, unbelievably, December 23rd, 1998 in New Japan, and then didn't wrestle for basically a year or so, comes back in October of 2000 for Noah. So we went from New Japan to Noah and made the jump that way. But yeah, he had a lot of runs in a bunch of other places. But yeah, he's not one of those guys that kind of was the direct lineage of All Japan Pro Wrestling to Noah. But yeah, his debut match was December 4th, 1989. Think about that, 1989. I was 2 years old when that guy had his debut. And he's still out here, and he's still working. And yeah, he's not the worker he once was. And he was never, I like Saito, but he was never like any great shakes or whatever. I think he had a couple of really, really... he had a couple of matches that I really, really like, but yeah, he's not a guy that I would put on my list of, you got to watch Akitoshi Saito. You got to see. I mean, he had good matches with Kenta Kobashi, but like, okay, and Jun Akiyama.
He was a guy in a stable, Dark Agents for a while there. And, he'd always be a guy in a stable, and he would get a big match, once or twice a year, but he was never anyone who was pushed super hard or anything like that, once he got to Noah. And I think in New Japan, he was mixed up with Masashi Aoyagi and that whole crew. And then because he went to Noah, he followed him there, as I think was the... I'm trying to think, because I don't remember watching a ton of his New Japan stuff, but I know that was kind of his path. Yeah, and he was a part of a bunch of tag teams, and he was pushed as a tag team guy a lot, but again, never held a singles title anywhere he went. And Noah didn't really have a bunch of mid-card singles titles like they do now with the national title and all this other nonsense now. It's pretty much just the junior champion and the world and the GHC champion, during his prime. So, if it was either going to be tag team titles or nothing, because they were never going to make him GHC champion. I mean, he was never at that level, even though he had GHC title matches over the years. So the 0-1 thing was kind of, his gold watch to say that he was a world champion at some point in his career. So, yeah, not a guy. I never loved his work or anything like that. I never even really liked his work, if I'm being honest. He was the kind of guy where I'd watch those Noah shows in the aughts, and very often I'd be slap and skip. I'll be completely honest. I didn't really have much interest in watching him, but I remember, I think he had a, whatever it was called at that time, their singles tournament, whether it was Global League or what, I don't even know what it's called now, but whatever their...
Well, it's the N1 now, but it was the Global League, if that's the thing.
The Global League.
About.
Okay,
yeah.
You're right. Yeah, it's N1 now. You're right. But when it was Global League, if you could check this, because I'm not on Cage Match, did he ever have for some reason, I have a match in my head, that a Global League match he had with Lance Archer, the quality of which shocked me. And it would have probably been around 2013, 14.
I got
maybe
a
a little
16.
later.
I got a 2016. Does that work for you? November 4th, 2016. Lance Archer defeats Akitoshi Saito. Global League 2016.
That's the match. And for whatever reason, I remember being stunned at how much better that was than I was expecting it to be. Because it would have been when Suzuki-gun
was invading. Yeah.
Was in, right. So I do remember that random ass match. If anybody could track that down, being way better than it had any right to be. So yeah, it's time. I mean, he's almost 60. I'm sure he doesn't feel great physically. And he's like one of those guys that's just always been around, like Muhammad.
It's just gonna be weird. It's just gonna be weird that he's just not there, because he's just always been there. I feel like
I've been watching Muhammad Yone wrestle like forever.
You have,
because I have, and he's like that. So and they were aligned, I guess, in recent years with didn't Akitoshi Saito join the wasn't he with Yone with the Funky Express and with
was he official? Was he official a Funky Express guy? I think you're right. Yeah, with Taniguchi or whatever.
Yeah.
King Tanny or King Taniguchi or whatever.
And everything.
Yeah, in a way. It was in a way. It was just like all the old dudes, and then Shohei Taniguchi, who I guess is an old guy at this point.
Because it's after Quiet Storm. Quiet Storm was Yone's partner in the tag team, but then Quiet Storm left. What was Yone and something funky? Yone and Quiet Storm.
Oh, and Quiet Storm. What the hell was there? They weren't the Funky Express?
They weren't. No.
Oh, I found it. Express. Yes. Oh, it rocks. 50 Funky Powers.
Yes,
that rules.
And when Quiet Storm left Noah, Yone formed the Funky Express unit with all those veteran guys. And they were just opening match comedy guys.
Right.
Called the Funky Express, coming off of the 50 Funky Powers tag team with Quiet Storm.
Powers.
Yeah. Which they were champions multiple times, Yone and Quiet Storm as 50 Funky Powers. So and Yone in his prime, I thought was better than Saito. I preferred Yone had some good years as a pro wrestler. He and they would always try to singles push him, and it would never take because he just didn't have the necessary.
He wasn't.
Charisma
He wasn't good enough. He was good, but not good enough. You know what I mean? It's like
so
you saw him at a certain level, and then there was just no way that you could push him beyond that level. Unfortunately.
Yeah, pretty much. So. Now, the rest of this show, I watched the top end stuff because this wasn't the main event. They did a GHC title match on this show. Kaito Kiyomiya defended against Takashi Sugiura. I thought it was a really great match. I mean, Sugiura looked great. That guy just doesn't age. And
there was a little bit, if you remember a couple years ago, we were like, I don't know, it's starting to finally catch up to him. And then no, he's fine.
Man, I don't even remember that.
It was like a little blip, and we're like, I don't know. It wasn't necessarily that he was, but I think it was like hey, I think we're getting pretty close to the point where he's going to slow down a little bit. I forget what was going on. He probably had some injury or something like that, but I remember us having a conversation and being like, yeah, it might start coming for him. I mean, this might be the end of him as a high-level worker. No, not the case at all. This guy's fucking still as good as anybody.
Yeah, Kiyomiya wasn't super clean in the match. He had that spot coming off the ropes or whatever where he was all fucked up. But I thought Sugiura looked great. And I'm someone who thinks Kiyomiya is a little overrated.
I do too. I've gotten there too. I think a lot of people jumped ahead and were like, he is one of the best workers in the world right now. And I'm like,
there's people who tell you he's the best wrestler.
Yeah.
I think he's really good. I just think he's a little overrated. That doesn't mean I think he stinks. That doesn't mean I don't think he's a really good wrestler. But I think people get carried away with him. I think that it's like everything is a forced epic with him. I don't know. There's things about his work that bother me. But I thought Sugiura, I'm not completely locked into Noah like I used to be, but I hadn't seen a Sugiura singles match in a while, and I was really blown away by how much he hasn't lost it. because he is 54. He's only 4 years younger than Akitoshi Saito, to put it in perspective.
Wow.
And, he looks exactly like he did 15, 20 years ago. And his work is right there too. I don't know. I really enjoyed it. And I watched Daga versus Dragonbane. And this was messy in a couple of spots. But overall, I enjoyed it. And I think Daga has to be a contender for most improved.
He'd be my vote. Because this is a guy who I thought was the drizzling shits before. He was Japan Jag. You know what I mean? We used to talk about how he was Japan Jag. It was just like, what the fuck? Mm-hmm. Like, what do they see in him? Why are they pushing this guy? This guy's nothing. He's got nothing behind behind these pushes, and he's been really good. And now I look forward to Daga matches, and this one was really good. I think Dragon Bane's awesome.
Yeah, it was a pretty good match.
I think Dragon Bane's awesome. It does not get enough love. But Daga was great here. I thought Daga looked good, and Dragon Bane looked good. And I like this match a lot. I know it
there were some messy spots. They lost each other a couple times. But yeah, I didn't care. It was an enjoyable match. Did you watch the Rattels explode for the 10,000?
Oh my God, yes. I was watching it. So I missed the entrances, and I just had the video playing, and I went and did something. I came back in, and I'm watching it. I'm like, all right, here's Hayata, and here's Yohei, and they're, and then I see Tadasuke, and I'm like, oh, man, what's going on here? And then I listened. I finally sat down and focused. And, yeah, they're, Mark Pickering and Stu are like, yeah, it's the Battle of Rattels. And I'm like, no, I'm not watching this. Why am I watching Rattels explode again? Fuck off. No, and I just skipped it. I said, no, my life is too short to watch another Rattels versus Rattels match. Not happening. I'm not doing it.
Oh, I thought you did watch it.
No, I skipped this one.
You switch course. Yeah, I didn't even get as far as you. I went straight to the Daga Dragonbane match. So, skipped all the undercard tags, and I have no interest in anything involving anyone in Rattels anymore at this point in my life.
Yeah,
just like you.
Thank you.
I can't, unless it's some major show where we're gonna have to watch everything. I'm not doing it by choice. Is basically what I'm saying. I can't, but. I'm losing steam here. I recorded a lot of audio today.
You did. So we'll go through this. You're basically done at this point. I will tell you, Gerard DeTrolio did let us know in the chat room, Go Shiozaki versus Tsuji Ishikawa for the 0-1 world title is this Sunday. So I don't know, man. I don't know if Go's...
well, we got to review that.
I don't know if
we're not doing a show next week.
No.
All right, so that's a good time to let people know that. There will be no Flagship next week with the Thanksgiving holiday. But I'll tell you what, which is what a lot of people in Texas say to me. I tell you what, I am marking that down. Go versus the big dog. Okay, the original big dog. Do they still call Roman the big dog? I don't even think
they don't really. No, they don't call him the big dog anymore. Unfortunately,
he's not the big dog anymore. He's the tribal chief, right? He can't be the big dog.
There's only one big dog in my life, and unless you're going to say Glenn Robinson, I don't know who the fuck you're going to say next, but.
Right, it's got to be Shuji Ishikawa.
Oh no, it's Glenn Robinson. Fuck off, Shuji Ishikawa. No,
Shuji Ishikawa is my big dog. Okay, so you could have your Glenn Robinson. Does his son still play, or are we that old with his son doesn't play?
No, that's how old we are. I believe his son is already out of the league, which is so terrible. Yeah, no, I've lived through Glenn Robinson the third, right, having his entire career and ending his career, and now he is a Magnolia hotshot in the Filipino League.
Oof.
That's how old. I mean, I know I lived through all of Glenn Robinson's career, and now I lived through all of his son's career. That is horrifying.
Probably a couple examples of that. Is Tim Hardaway Jr. still around?
Tim Hardaway Jr. is clinging to an NBA job. I will say that I feel like Tim Hardaway, when I started becoming a basketball fan, like when I got old enough to actually know what was going on, he was already kind of a veteran, so I don't feel it as much with Tim Hardaway.
He was clinging.
Yeah, right.
Yeah. No, see, I remember his whole career.
I remember Glenn Robinson in college. Like, you probably remember Tim Hardaway in college. I remember Glenn Robinson in college. So that's what really hurts.
Where did Tim Hardaway go to college?
He was in Cincinnati, was he? Let me see. I got to figure this out.
Why am I thinking UTEP?
UTEP. Tim Hardaway at UTEP. You got it.
I'm right about that?
UTEP, you were right. UTEP.
Yeah. But I don't remember him at UTEP. But I have much like failed presidential candidates, I remember where everyone went to college. But how about Shane Larkin? He's long gone.
Oh, Shane Larkin's long gone. Yeah.
But see, he wouldn't be if he was good.
Yeah, because Shane Larkin is still like
he didn't age out.
Yeah, well, now he did. He's 32. I mean, he kind of would have aged out at this point. Yeah.
Starting to age out. Yeah.
He was out of the league though when he was like 26. So I think, to your point, like that wasn't necessarily
right. Like in baseball, Eric Young and Eric Young Jr. That's a stiff one too, because I watched Eric Young Jr. in the minor leagues, and he's now retired because he's old, and he's like a first base coach.
Right.
And I watched his dad.
I think
Time waits for no one, Rich.
No, the one that's hitting me is I think isn't Prince Fielder's son? Didn't he just get drafted?
Oh, so that'll be 3 Fielders.
Right. That's tough.
We're starting to get the grandsons.
Yeah, that's tough. I don't know if Prince Fielder's son's there yet, but it's like close if I remember correctly. No, he's signed. Yeah, the Brewers signed him. He's 19. Jaden Fielder. Do you remember he was like the little fat kid that would be playing? Because they used to do this thing. Because they had Cecil with Prince, and they were like, here's like young fat Prince Fielder playing with his fat dad. You know what I mean? And on the Detroit, at Tiger Stadium or whatever. And look, Prince is doing the same thing with his fat little kid or whatever. And they showed and now that fat little kid is 19 and can kick my ass for sure. And he's a Major League Baseball player, and I'm here with you talking about pro wrestling. So,
jeez.
Well, anyway.
I'm here with you. Jeez.
So anyway, lock in. Oh, sorry. What were we saying? Good. What were we saying? No, we're not doing a flagship next week. We got Thanksgiving. I'm going to be at Dynamite on Wednesday. We're not doing it next week, but that's the type of match that you write down if things.
Yeah, I'm not going to let you forget it. We're going to talk about Go Shiozaki versus the Big Dog for the 0-1 title.
Because then we can preview. We can lead into the new year ready to go.
Right.
With 0-1. You know what I mean? We'll be locked in on 0-1. We won't be just jumping into 0-1. We'll be locked in on 0-1. And I strongly, what I started to do this week, and we'll sign the show off with this, is when I was done watching the Noah show, I was jumping around on Wrestle Universe, and I realized, Michinoku Pro's on Wrestle Universe. Wonder what the hell they've uploaded. Thinking, it's not going to be anything. Because if you go to 0-1 on Wrestle Universe, there's not much. There's not much of 0-1 available on Wrestle Universe. So I said, I'll click Michinoku Pro, see what's going on. They got everything, man. They got all the new shows from Michinoku Pro is all up there on Wrestle Universe, including the 7th annual Fukumen League, the Fukumen World League. Joe, I know we did the pick'em. You were excited for the Fukumen World League. I was too. Yes. So I watched this entire fucking show because I said, you know what? I'm so sick of watching boring ass New Japan Strong shows. I don't want to watch the World Tag League. I don't no fucking interest in the World Tag League.
You're not catching up on the tag leagues?
No, I'm not. No, I'll catch up on the All Japan Tag League. I'm out on the New Japan World Tag League. I'm good. I'll watch the finals. How about that? I'll watch the finals of the World Tag League. But I said,
I'll watch the finals.
I'll watch the finals, of course. But I said, I'm gonna watch some wrestling I don't usually watch. Let's check in with Michinoku Pro, and it's a fun little show. It's like 2 hours in and out, not too bad. Honestly, it's shorter than that if you skip the intermissions. You can watch this. Now, is there a lot of great wrestling? There is not a lot of great wrestling in current day Michinoku Pro. Is current day Michinoku Pro very popular? Joe, it is not. It is not. They had a reported 780 packed into the Yahaba Townsman Gymnasium, which appeared to just be a high school gymnasium. A lot of empty seats.
Are you dubious of the 780
I
number?
am dubious on the 780. I didn't do a head count, but
okay.
I don't know. Big. It must be a very large floor to have 780 people packed in there. But hey, you know what?
I know you're going to get to the business end here, but I noticed that Yapper Man 2 worked the show.
Mm-hmm.
What's Yapper Man 1 been up to?
I don't know what Yapper Man 1's up to. Yeah, because
you're not okay.
I don't know. Yeah, I don't know. Yapper Man. Yeah. That's unfortunate level of worker that a lot. I mean, it's tough out there as a 2024.
Violento Jack was on the show.
He was. I'm trying to look up what Yapper. Yapper Man 1, he did wrestle. He wasn't on this show, but he does wrestle on some Michinoku Pro shows here in these days. He also wrestles for TTT, Basara. Basara's still around. Who's watching Basara?
Oh, God. Fold it up already.
Who is watching Basara?
No one needs it.
666 is still around too? What is happening?
Oh, come on. It can't be.
It is. They ran a show in October. 666,
Fans
volume 146. Does anybody need 146 volumes of 666?
Fans of those places fucking hate us.
They yeah.
Like, you know how bad? Oh my God! In the glory days of being hated,
yeah,
it was always those damn Basara fans.
It was Basara and Heat Up. We were not we were not going on over with the Heat Up crews.
We were not over with the fans of those or 666 or Freedoms. The Freedoms fans.
Yeah, they didn't like us. All caps Freedoms.
God,
they hated us.
hate us.
Yeah.
It's not my fault that your promotion of choice stinks. Okay, that's not my fault. You don't gotta hate me.
But it was it was interesting. So you have the semifinals here was Kenbai and Violento Jack. Kenbai gets the win. Should I unmask Kenbai or should I leave Christmas?
Well, was it a death match?
No, it was just a regular.
Well, then that's not fair because Violento Jack was out of his element.
I agree, but he shouldn't have joined the Fukumen World League if he didn't want to. He knew what the score was going to be.
Yeah, you make a good point.
Like he can't, he knew what he was joining in. He knew that he wasn't gonna be able to do deathmatch here.
I have no counter to that argument.
For the Fukumen League, you can't do that. But Kenbai, do you want me to unmask Kenbai or are you good?
Please, by all means.
Okay. You see him on Noah very frequently.
Trash it up, please.
Amakusa. It's Amakusa. I think everybody knows that, but Noah's Amakusa is Kenbai from Michinoku Pro. So he went through the first semifinal match. Then it was time for Pantera Jr., who comes out to, the song Paper Planes by MIA?
No.
Oh, my God. Okay, look it up later. I don't want to, we don't have enough time to do the whole.
Why didn't he come out to Pantera?
I agree. I would come out to Pantera. He came out to Paper Planes by MIA, which is, you know the song. You don't know the song, but you know the song. If you heard it.
Okay.
You got your little phone? You got your little phone ready?
Yeah, I got my phone.
Look up the song. Look up the song.
All right. I actually know how to use my phone again. All right, Pantera.
No,
not Pantera.
Paper Planes by MIA.
Paper Planes by Maya, the hip hop act?
Yes.
Or MIA.
M.I.A.
Whatever happened to Maya? Remember
that Maya? She's still. Oh, by the way, that Maya? Still.
She's dead?
No. Alive.
Oh.
10 out of 10, babe, still.
Okay. MIA.
Yes.
She kind of looks like The Rock's daughter. All right.
She does kind of look like Ava Raine, yeah.
I got to turn my volume up.
Yeah.
Can you hear it?
Yeah, I hear it. Now, you've heard the song, right?
Oh, you can hear this?
Yeah, I can hear it.
How come you can't hear when I play the game show music?
I don't know. It hits a certain frequency, I guess. Now, I can't hear it vividly.
Yeah, I know
I'm just hearing bits and pieces. Yeah, it's a terrible song. So imagine all of a sudden at the fucking, what's this thing called? The Yahaba Townsman Gymnasium. All of a sudden, just blaring. And then random gunshots because the song's just got gunshots in it all the way.
Right.
And I'm like, these poor children. Yeah. It's it's Michinoku Pro. It's a family friendly show or whatever. And here comes Pantera Jr. and his fucking gunshots and his loud rap music or whatever. But there you go.
I can't believe he comes out to that. Like what?
It was really weird. Yeah, I was like, really? Of all the songs Pantera Jr. could come out to, he decides Paper Planes by MIA. That's the one. Not any song by Pantera, but chose what he chose. But Pantera Jr. here against the great Sasuke. Yes, the great Sasuke is still regularly working. Not good. He's not good anymore. But they did a good little story here where Pantera Jr. worked over his leg and put him in some submission hold, and Sasuke had to tap out. And he's still a good worker, man. He couldn't get out of this ring. They needed like 7 guys to wheel him out of this ring because he was just so hurt after the destruction that Pantera Jr. gave to him. So.
Wait, so Sasuke, is he completely washed?
Oh yeah.
He is?
Oh yeah. He's like fat now, and yeah, it's very over.
Oh, it's not good scenes, huh?
No.
I haven't seen him wrestle in years.
No, this is one of those things where like, how people like we always talk about we fight back when people want to see old guys wrestle. Yeah. And I don't. I want to remember great Sasuke as being great. You know what I mean? I don't want to watch a fat great Sasuke limping to get into the ring. And like that doesn't Doesn't do anything for me. It doesn't excite me in any way. So, by the way, this I think I said November. I think the show was in October, but was the show in October? Am I reviewing a show from October or November? October 13th. Hey, you know what? We're going back a month. It's fine.
Where'd you get November 10th
I have
from?
no idea. Well, I watched it in November, so I'm going to call it in November. But hey, you know what?
You put the date that you watched it in the fucking...
Some guy did. Remember one year some guy did that for Match of the Year?
Yes.
And I was like, brother.
The dates that he watched the matches, and we're trying to unwind this.
Because he had, I remember, he voted for a bunch of NXT matches. And one was Tommaso Ciampa versus Johnny Gargano. And then it was like July 9th. And I was like, okay. I was like, Joe, these guys faced each other 6 times this year. I don't even see one in July. Like, what the fuck is this guy talking about? What Matt? And then we noticed it was happening up and down his list. And we're like, I can't match this matchup either. What the hell is going on here? And then eventually we reached out to him and he goes, oh, I just put the time when I watched the match. And I was like, why would you do that? Why would we know which Ciampa Gargano match you're referring to if you're listing it by the time when you watched it?
When you sat on the couch and decided to watch. Yeah. Why? First of all, why would he know that? Forget us.
Yeah, it's fucking bizarre.
How does he know what day he watched these matches?
We used to have some weird shit, man. Match of the year.
Oh
one guy was off by like a little bit of dates, but it wasn't a consistent amount of dates.
Yeah.
So I could kind of guess, but then there was a couple times where I'm like, I don't know, these guys face each other like twice in a couple of weeks. I don't know which one he means. It's like one time it would be 3 days off, and then one time it'd be 5 days off.
Neither date that they wrestled each other.
Yeah. Like
guys would wrestle on October 13th and October 18th, and they would put October 14th for the date of the match.
Yeah, I was like, I don't know. I don't know which one.
Like, what does this, what the fuck? So, luckily we've got that all cleaned up.
Yeah. Thank God.
New system. Yeah. Scraping straight from cage match.
Or the classic Ciampa versus Gargano.
Right.
Which one?
Why did they call this? I have a question.
Yeah.
Since you're a Michinoku Pro watcher.
Oh, yeah.
Why is this the Fukumen World League when it was a single elimination tournament? It's a single elimination tournament.
Yeah.
That's not a league.
No.
A league has a table. It's a round robin.
Yeah. You're not wrong. You're not wrong.
Sasuke beat Tiida, Tiiida, T lowercase I, uppercase DA in the first round.
Mm-hmm.
He beat Strong Machine J in round 2.
Yeah, Strong Machine J.
That's a rough L.
Yeah.
That's a rough L for Strong Machine J.
Yeah.
He'll lose to Fat Sasuke, right? And then he lost to Pantera Jr. This is not a league.
It's a tournament.
Who's that Michi Pro expert who disappeared?
Oh, Ozzy Michi fan. Remember Ozzy Michi fan? Yeah, I don't know what's going on with Ozzy. We gotta see what Ozzy Michi fan is up to. Yeah, I don't know what Ozzy Michi fan's doing these days.
If he's still around, I want to know why this is called a league. You may continue.
Okay. Well, I don't know much else here. All right. So there was a Quiet Storm was under the mask as Mr. America, even though very clearly Quiet Storm, because he looks, it's Quiet Storm. Who looks like Quiet Storm? You know what I mean?
Nobody is shaped like that man.
Nobody has such a large chest and such a small butt. You know what I mean? The man's torso and ass is nothing. But his legs are huge. Massive legs, massive chest, no hips, no ass. It's unbelievable.
He's got 2008 teenage girl shopping at Abercrombie and Fitch butt.
Right.
And he's got those little stubby fucking Tyrannosaurus Rex arms. So there's no way you can't recognize the guy.
Right. So he was doing a Hulk Hogan tribute here, which the Wokes aren't going to like that one.
Wait a minute. He teamed with a man called Saigon Guerrero.
Yes.
Should I even guess what that's about?
You got to lock in.
Leave it alone
on the Michi Pro. You got to lock in. I don't know who Saigon Guerrero is because he doesn't have a cage match, unfortunately. So I don't know any.
Was it like a Viet Cong gimmick?
I don't think so. No, I don't think so.
So it's like Mr. America teaming with the Viet Cong. Is that the idea?
Now that you mention it, yeah, it was. Let's go with that. It'd be cooler if it was.
Saigon Guerrero?
Yeah, Saigon Guerrero. No, I don't know. I don't remember who Saigon Guerrero was, but
Did he do a Three Amigos spot?
he did not, as far as I remember.
Okay.
But yeah, anyway, and then in the finals, Pantera Jr. defeated Kenbai to win the prestigious 7th annual Fukumen World League. Pretty decent match, actually. Not bad. Pantera Jr. does not have a cage match, which is kind of bullshit. He deserves a cage match. So there's no ratings for it on but I thought it was pretty good. It was 12 minutes, not crazy amount of work. It was okay, but yeah, I don't know. Amakuse is solid enough, and Pantera Jr. is actually pretty good, and that's some pretty good chops and some pretty good offense, and the crowd actually got into it a little bit. So, again, not a match this is not a show that you need to go out of your way to watch on any level whatsoever, but it was a nice palate cleanser to sometimes just check in with a promotion you haven't watched in a little while. Sometimes I get so bored watching the same guys, having the same matches all the time in the same promotions that I was like, fuck it. I'm going to watch Michinoku Pro for a couple hours out of my day, and I got, some interesting stuff. Nothing that I'm going to, write home about, but I might lock into the next Michinoku Pro show. 0-1, that's a good one to lock in every so often on the 0-1, but you got to change things up a little bit. You can't just watch the same shit over and over and over again. You're going to get too bored. So,
hey, I know you buried the lead. La Estrella wrestled the semi-main event. Does he still stink?
I kind of think he stinks.
Does Dragon Gate ever just keep him around, or are they constantly sending him other places?
I think they're kind of, he's back and forth. I'm looking now. He hasn't wrestled in Dragon Gate since October 6th, so it's been a while.
I'm telling you, he comes in, he wrestles 3 matches, they send him packing to wherever the fuck.
Right. Yeah, because remember didn't he have an excursion? He had an excursion in America, right? Earlier in the year?
Excursion.
Yeah.
He's been here in Texas a million times.
Yeah,
he's everywhere.
He's also 31. It's, you know what I mean? It's like, you're not.
That's what I mean.
If you're not good at 31, you're probably not good.
Messy flyer.
Yeah. I didn't realize he was 31, man. Whew. I thought he was a lot younger than that. That's rough.
No.
That's rough, 31.
I'm surprised they keep him around. He's from another era. Right? They never do nothing with him.
No. There you go. I'm looking at I want to go back to the first Fukumen World League and see who won that one to see. From 1995, Dos Caras won the first one.
Okay, so I have another question.
Yeah, what do you got?
This was the 7th Fukumen World League, and the first one was in 1995.
Yeah, so maybe my 7th annual was incorrect. It apparently is not an annual tournament.
Is this like the Olympics?
They come around every. So let's see. So the first Fukumen World League was in 1995, won by Dos Caras. Then maybe because then they went to 1999. So maybe it is every. Let's see if this held. Let's see if this held steady. All right. So every 4 years so far. 1999, they came back. Tiger Mask won that one.
Can't be. I've already done it's not a derivative of 4 that we're doing. It's like
2003. Anyway, they did stay to 4.
I know you're not great at math. Just keep moving.
Keep moving. I'm going to work on it. Let's go.
Yeah.
I know where you're going with, but let's do it. Third Fukumen League in 2003. That's again 4 years. Atlantis.
I can already tell you that it's not.
What's that one? The fourth Fukumen League, 2007. 1, 2, 3, 4. We're there again. Tiger Mask again. 2 wins for him. Here's where things go a little off the rails, Joe.
Right.
The 5th Fukumen League was in 2012.
Right. It's 5.
It's not every 4 years, Joe.
I'm sure COVID fucked it up too.
Great Sasuke won that one. Then the 6th Fukumen League was in 2016. They got back on track. Caristico won that one.
Right. Well, I could see what happened here. They canceled 2020 because of COVID.
Okay.
And they're back 4 years later.
Oh, I see. Okay, so they just wiped 2020 from the record. Well, then why did the 1 year did they go 5 then? They had it.
What was the year they skipped there? What was
so they went from 2007. No, so they went from 2007 for the 5th Fukumen League, and then it went to 2012. Yeah.
So what happened in 2011? Was there a fucking typhoon or something?
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know.
What do they call those storms in Japan? Typhoons or fucking
Tsunamis.
Tsunami? Was there a tsunami?
Maybe.
Was there a fucking what's the thing where the ocean just takes over the fucking? What's the thing with that's
flood?
A tsunami, right?
A flood, yeah, tsunami. I think is what you're thinking.
The one that causes the big flood, where they say if the ocean recedes, you better get the fuck out of there because it's gonna come back like with the giant wall of water.
I think you're going tsunami again.
That's a tsunami, right?
I believe so. Yeah, I believe you're thinking of a tsunami. So yes, maybe they had
something happened where they couldn't have it that year. Because that's up in northern Japan, right? Where Michinoku runs?
Yes, yeah. Well, either way.
So it is every 4 years.
Yeah, it is mostly every 4 years, except if there's a typhoon or a pandemic. So,
okay, I have another question.
Yeah.
Will you commit to reviewing this in 2028?
Yes.
Okay.
Why not?
Hold them to that.
I'll watch them all because apparently they had all the nights, so I can go back and watch the entire Fukumen League. All the nights were on Wrestle Universe. So it seems
They're just
weird
running the camera every night for Michi Pro.
Yeah, there's a lot of Michi. There's a lot of Michi Pro on Wrestle Universe. Go check it out.
I didn't realize that.
Yeah, I didn't either. But good thing to find. But all right. Anyway, Pantera Jr. Congratulations to him. He joins such luminaries as Dos Caras, Tiger Mask, Atlantis, Great Sasuke, Caristico, and now Pantera Jr. So let me make sure it's that Caristico.
Sasuke be in it in 2028.
Probably, right?
Probably a good bet, right?
Yeah.
Does he still do the dive?
Yeah, the Space War's coming, right? Isn't that's always around Christmas, right? Isn't that on? It's usually like right around Christmas or Christmas Day or whatever. So that match always stinks. The Great Space War.
It's awful. I never watched that shit.
So bad. Yeah, everyone's like, no, it's good.
Stupid fucking. Remember that stupid tag tournament they used to do with all the grimy indies that everyone would watch too?
Yeah.
Where they pull the partners out of the hat or whatever. That they would do that on New Year's Eve, and it always stunk. I don't think they do it.
Always bad. Yeah, I don't think they do either.
And I would go on Twitter and say that it fucking stunk, and all the deep pearls would come from my head. Listen, it's not my fault that you watch bad wrestling. You know, you're not even tugging the collar because none of those people have.
They're all gone.
No shot.
They're just not listening anymore.
Any of them are listening anymore.
None of them either watch wrestling anymore, and if they do watch wrestling, they are absolutely 100% not listening to the show anymore.
Right. Who are those stupid twins I hated? The Oka twins or what? What the fuck were they?
Oh,
Brahmins. The Brahmins.
The Brahmins. Yes, the Brahmins.
Oh my God, the dirt worst.
They're still hanging around everywhere.
Like bowling balls at each other and stuff. It's so stupid. Like, fuck right off with that.
Now people are going to get upset. People love the Brahmin brothers.
Well, that's because they have horrible taste. I can't account for other people's horrible taste. End the show, Rich.
We're done. All right, that is it for us. Again, we'll be back on Saturday night for AEW Full Gear Instant Reaction Live. So we'll see you guys all there. Again, $10 tier to make sure you are ready to go for that. We also plugged a lot of the other stuff as well. Flagship, patreon.com. Make sure you get on that. $1 trial tier, $5 tier gets you all the bonus audio. $10 tier unlocks everything we do, including the instant reaction lives and written pieces. We also have a free tier. If you want to sign up, get a little bit of content here and there, plus the opportunity to get some free content sent your way as well that Patreon automatically does. It says, hey, here's a couple of free things that we think you might like, some things that might entice you to become a subscriber. So really good stuff that they do there. And it also lets you know what we are doing. So if you see something that comes up and you go, whoa, that looks pretty cool, I'm interested in that, you will be able to see that on the free tier. We should note as well, with the holiday season coming up, voicesofwrestling.com/Amazon. If you're going to already order shit on Amazon, which we know you're all going to do, use the link voicesofwrestling.com/Amazon. You'll pay the same price. You'll get the same shipping. Everything will be exactly the same, but a small percentage of every sale comes back to us. Comes back to the website as a whole, not just Joe and I. That's the website as a whole, the Amazon. So voicesofwrestling.com/Amazon. Really recommend you guys do that if you're going to shop on Amazon anyway. Again, you have to do anything different, just go to voicesofwrestling.com/Amazon and then shop as you would normally shop anyway. But all right, that is it for us. No Flagship next week, so we'll see you guys in a couple weeks. That's Joe. I'm Rich. Talk to you again next time. Take care. Bye.
Ryan Seacrest here. When you have a busy schedule, it's important to maximize your downtime. One of the best ways to do that is by going to ChumbaCasino.com. Chumba Casino has all your favorite social casino games like spin slots, bingo, and solitaire that you can play for free for a chance to redeem some serious prizes. So hop on to ChumbaCasino.com now and live the Chumba life. Sponsored by Chumba Casino. No purchase necessary. VGW Group. Void where prohibited by law. 18 plus terms and conditions apply.
Hi, I'm Case Lowe, co-host of the Open the Voice Gate podcast. The one question I'm constantly asked when it comes to Dragon Gate is, how do I get into the promotion? Well, stop asking and start listening to the Open the Voice Gate podcast, released every Wednesday on the Voices of Wrestling podcasting network. For exclusive news and show reviews, look no further than the leader in Dragon Gate coverage, Open the Voice Gate.